Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 1 of our story. If you like this What If story and want to see part 2, let me know in the comments below. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, check the description for more great content and my playlist. This story was posted by 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐬𝐴 on Wattpad. Now let's start. Izuku's POV. Not everyone is born equal. I learned that some people have more power than others at the age of 4. In a world full of quirks, 80% of the population has some unique ability called quirks. They range from useful to powerful to strange. Meanwhile, the remaining 20% of the population is quirkless. I was one of the unlucky few who had no quirk, weak, defenseless, and feeling useless. My twin sister inherited a version of our mom's quirk and received all the attention from our parents. I wanted to become a hero just like All Might, but the doctor and my parents told me it wasn't going to happen and that I should give up on my dream. However, I held strong to my longing to become a hero. After that day, my life changed dramatically. My family neglected me, my friends and sister bullied me, and everyone around me saw me as a waste of space. The only ones who were kind to me were my aunts, uncles, grandparents, and Adam, the man at the comic book store. He was like another grandpa to me and had lived in the U.S. before retiring in Japan with his late wife. He passed away when I was 12, but he had given the comic shop to his nephew, Jack, who was a nice guy and offered me a job as a manager when I needed money. My school life wasn't much better. My sister and her friends bullied me while using their quirks against me. The only one who tried to help was Koji. While he did bully me, he always tried to stand up for me because he didn't like how they treated me. He wanted to help but struggled to speak up. I knew he wouldn't be able to do much since he didn't like fighting or confrontation. When I was 13, I started to work out and practice parkour to help me escape from them. I also grew to love music and art as a way to express myself. I created my art in a private, abandoned room in the school building where there were no cameras. I wrote music when I had time, hiding my work beneath a floorboard in my room where no one could find it. On the last day of school, while I was analyzing a quirk from MT Lady, I overheard the teacher talking about wanting to become heroes and students showing off their quirks. The 𝐒𝐵𝐲 twins dismissed the idea of being grouped with others, claiming that they would be lucky to be sidekicks. I sighed at their comments. The teacher mentioned that they had good scores and a good shot at getting into U, saying it was the only place worthy of them. Then, the teacher said something that would change the course of my day. Teacher, oh yeah, Mr. Yagi, don't you want to go to U too? I looked up, knowing the teacher had just sealed my fate. The class erupted in laughter, everyone except the 𝐒𝐵𝐲 twins and Izumi, who glared at me with disdain. Student, come on, Deku. Do you really think you can get into one of the greatest schools of all time? You don't even have a quirk. Katsuki rushed up to my desk, slamming his hand down. I fell back, looking up at his furious face. Katsuki, Deku, do you think they would choose someone like you when they can have someone like us? Izumi added angrily, we told you once, and we'll say it again. You can't be a hero without a quirk. Teacher, all right, that's enough. Everyone back to your desks. I could hear Izumi mutter under her breath, you're going to regret wanting to go to U. At the end of class, I was packing up and listening to a music sample I made for a song on my phone, which I had bought with my own saved money. I reached for my notebook, but it got swiped away before I could grab it. I looked to see who did it, and it was none other than Izumi and her friends. Izumi, hey, Deku. What are you doing? Katsuki, look at this, hero analysis for the future number 13. Huh. I rolled my eyes as everyone laughed at my book. Katsuki tried to mess with it, but I grabbed it before he could do anything. After that, I put the book in my backpack, slipped my bag onto my shoulder, and started to leave. But I felt a hand on my shoulder from behind and turned to see Katsumi. Katsumi, just where do you think you're going? We're not done with you yet. She playfully nudged my shoulder, and I shrugged her off while giving her a cold look. Izuku, yes, we are. I started to walk away, but I saw movement from the corner of my eye and ducked just in time. I ran outside while they chased me. They couldn't use their quirks because it would break the rules, so they decided to chase me normally. I ran, jumped over a trash can, and leaped through a car window, heading into an alleyway, hoping to find a way out. But there was a high chain fence blocking my path. I turned back, trying to find another way, but I was cornered. In my head, I thought of the best way to escape. Then 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 stepped forward, sparks popping from his hands. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽, Deku. You're in trouble. I knew I had to think fast. I saw a fire escape ladder that was about 10 feet high and quickly developed a plan. I ran towards the group, and as 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 charged at me, I leaped over him, landing on one of my classmates' shoulders to springboard up and grab the ladder with one arm. Thank you. How did he do that? I climbed up a few rungs until I was high enough to get over the fence, but there was barbed wire on it, so I had to be careful. I looked down to see some of them already climbing the ladder after me. There was a metal pole sticking out of the side of the building, and it looked strong enough for me to swing onto it. I knew it was now or never. Izuku, all right Izuku, you got this. I ran towards the end of the fire escape as fast as I could, hopped onto the ledge, and leapt off to gain momentum. I reached for the pole with both hands and swung my body to try to get over the fence. I let go, closed my eyes, and prepared to land. It felt like I was in the air for a long time, but it was only a few seconds. I had practiced jumping from high places, but never with this kind of risk. I opened my eyes to see the grass below and rolled as I landed. I took a moment to catch my breath and continued running, making sure they couldn't follow me. The others looked shocked at what I just did as they couldn't follow me because the fence was too high for them to climb, and they couldn't use their quirks because someone might see them. The last thing I heard from them was 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 yelling at the top of his lungs. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽, get back here, Deku. Izuku ran into the forest, and after a while, he thought he lost them. But then he realized a flaw in his plan. He had run in a random direction to lose them, and without food or water, he couldn't use his phone because he had gone so far that he couldn't get cell service. It was starting to get dark outside, and he began to worry about how to get out of this situation that he had made worse for himself. Izuku, see, how am I going to get out of here? As he thought of ways to escape the forest, something caught his eye. He saw what he thought was a shooting star and looked at it in awe. But he quickly realized two things. 1, it didn't glow multiple colors, and 2, it certainly didn't come this close. He then realized that it wasn't a shooting star, it was a meteorite coming straight towards him. Just his luck. He could only think one thing to say in that moment. Izuku, oh no. He ran away as he saw it coming closer and closer. It slammed into the ground with dirt flying everywhere, and Izuku barely managed to dodge it. A wave of heat came from the impact, and he hid behind a large tree to avoid being burned. A bright flash shot out around the forest. For a few seconds, then it was gone. He moved from the tree to see the forest now had a huge impact crater about 10 meters in diameter, with a smoking meteor glowing with some strange light or energy emitting from inside it. Izuku, that was a close one. I might want to get out of here before anyone else comes. He started to walk away but then stopped as he felt something pulling at him. He looked at the glowing meteor the size of a car engine and felt almost compelled to go near it. He walked towards the crater slowly and soon reached the edge to get a closer look, but then the ground broke underneath him. Izuku, He fell into the crater, rolling towards the meteor and ending up just a few feet away from it. He got up with a grunt, rubbed his head to make sure he wasn't hurt, and dusted himself off. Now that he was closer to the meteor, he could see a symphony of colors glowing and pulsing like a heartbeat. He was mesmerized by the sight before him and subconsciously walked towards it, reaching a hand out. Izuku, it's calling me. He hesitated for a moment, wondering if it was a good idea to touch it. Ultimately, he decided to place his hand on it. In an instant, the cosmic rays of energy that emitted from the rock exploded outward and hit Izuku with force. They impacted his body, causing a sensation that felt overwhelming. He felt a surge of energy, and everything seemed to change in an instant. As the energy subsided, Izuku fell to the ground, and when he looked at himself, he noticed that he had changed. His once dark forest green hair was now a bright white, and his eyes had shifted to a vibrant emerald green. While his body was still slim, it was clear that he had gained more strength than before. Minutes later, Izuku started to wake up, coughing slightly as he took in his surroundings. He felt different, more powerful than he had ever been before. Little did he know, he had just gained incredible powers, marking the beginning of his journey as the symbol of hope for the people, destined to become an icon for other heroes to aspire to. The symbol of hope, the champion of the world, the hero, Nexus. Izuku groaned in soreness as he sat up, trying to piece together what had happened. He looked at the meteor, now drained of energy and cracked in the middle, feeling confused about the changes he had undergone. Getting to his feet, he noticed his burnt clothes hanging loosely on him. He climbed up to the ledge of the impact crater, quickly making his way out. As he took one last look at the meteor, a question lingered in his mind. Where did all that energy go? As he walked away, he didn't hear the meteor cracking behind him. A chunk fell off, revealing a strange crystal inside, but he was too far away to notice. He continued until he found a lake, hoping to find his way home. When he looked into the water, he was startled by his new appearance. He jumped back in surprise, but in doing so, he slipped and began to fall. Closing his eyes, he braced for impact, but it never came. When he opened his eyes, he was shocked to find himself floating a few feet above the ground. In disbelief, he floated upright, slapping himself to confirm he wasn't dreaming. The pain he felt assured him that this was real. How am I doing this? Did I finally unlock my quirk? He wondered, his mind racing with possibilities. The memory of the meteor came back to him, and he began to connect the dots. He realized that he had awakened his quirk right after touching the meteor, and now he had gained powers from it. But that should be impossible, right? He thought, struggling to believe it. Yet, everything seemed to add up. He had somehow absorbed the power from that meteor and become something extraordinary. Looking up at the appealing sun shining above, he felt a surge of excitement and a wild idea formed in his mind. Okay, this might be a bit crazy, but I've always wanted to know what it's like to fly, he said to himself. With determination, he pushed off with an invisible force and soared into the sky at incredible speed. The wind rushed past him as he tore through the air, but soon he began to lose control, spinning erratically. He screamed, flailing his arms in an attempt to stabilize himself as he flew through a cloud. The cold mist enveloped him, soaking his already damaged clothes and backpack. It felt strange, like a mix of pins and needles. Emerging from the cloud, he managed to regain some balance and shook off the water. That wasn't as fun as the comics make it seem, he remarked, feeling uncomfortable. Just then, he heard the sound of a plane approaching. Turning his head, he saw it speeding toward him, and panic set in. Izuku, I need to get out of the way. I pushed off just in time, but I went too fast and ended up spinning out of control. I felt myself falling, and the ground was getting closer as I spun uncontrollably. Izuku, this is going to hurt. I landed in a different alleyway, creating a small crater from the impact. Dust filled the air, and my bag was flung to the side. I crash-landed face first and lay sprawled out with my arms and legs wide. Izuku, muffled. What? That hurt. I pulled my head out of the ground, shaking off dust and rubble. Once I was upright, I checked myself over to make sure nothing was broken. Arms, legs, head, everything seemed fine. I was shocked because I should have been hurt, but I felt only a brief sting before it faded. Izuku, the meteor must have given me some kind of invulnerability. But what's the limit? How much can I take before I actually get hurt? If I still feel pain, then can I? No. Don't analyze what's happening to you right now. Just get back home and try not to freak yourself out more than you already are. I walked over to my bag, picked it up, and slung it over my shoulder. I started toward the alley exit and pulled out my phone, only to find it broken and cracked from the crash. With an annoyed sigh, I put it back in my pocket, knowing I would need to get a new one later. As I approached the exit, I noticed my old tormentors walking down the street. I immediately stopped and took a few steps back. Izuku, oh great. Now I have to make sure they don't see me. Maybe they won't recognize me if I walk out there. No, my freckles are a dead giveaway. I should wait until they... Suddenly, a big gust of wind blew in, sending dust everywhere. I covered my eyes to avoid getting any dust in them. When the dust settled, I heard two voices. All might and magnetic, Hello, Ms. Yagi. Izumi, whoa. All Might, magnetic. What are you doing here, and how do you know my name? Then All Might transformed into a cloud of smoke, and out emerged my father. Izuku, no, my father can't be All Might, right? If my dad really is All Might, then that must mean my mom is. Magnetic took off her mask, revealing herself as Izuku's mother. I was shocked to learn that my parents were heroes, not to mention that they were the number 1 hero and the number 13 hero. All Might small form, we know your name because we're your parents. He said with a smile. Inko. Yep, you've been wondering what our jobs are, well, it's this. Smiles Izumi. Whoa, my parents are heroes. This is so cool. Wait, why are you here? All Might. Well, that's because I want you, Izumi Yagi, to inherit my power, one for all. He explained how the quirk is passed down from person to person and how he wanted her to inherit this power. I was amazed that a quirk like that even existed. It broke everything we knew about quirks. Then Izumi asked a question. Izumi, wait, if you have a quirk like that, then why don't you just give it to Izuku? With that power, he can become the hero he always wanted to be. What my father, Toshinori Yagi, said next changed my opinion of him forever. All Might, I did consider asking him, but I don't think he has what it takes to be a hero. As you see, I'm the symbol of peace for everyone in the world, and I need a strong candidate for the power. I don't see a single ounce of heroism in him, so what do you say? Will you take it? I glared at him from the alleyway for saying that. I wanted to go out, but somehow I managed to keep myself under control. Then Izumi answered. I accept. After that, I turned back into the alleyway, walking through it to calm myself down. Toshinori had a quirk that could be passed on to people, and he chose his sister. His sister, who already had a quirk, had been bullying him, mistreating him, tormenting him. He had done nothing wrong or hurt them in any way. And Toshinori, his father, the number 1 hero, said he didn't have what it takes to be a hero, but his sister did. I found myself in front of a tree. In my frustration, I pulled my fist back and struck the tree, not realizing the pure white light in my clenched fist. As I hit the tree, it instantly shattered into little pieces. Breathing in and out, I started to calm down and looked at my fist to see the white light dimming. Oh. Super strength check. I chuckled lightly. Izumi's POV. I couldn't believe it. My dad and mom were the number 1 hero, All Might, and the number 13 hero, Magnetic. And now my father wanted to pass on his power, one for all. I woke up the next morning with an amazing feeling in my chest. I showered, got dressed, and got ready for school. I walked down the stairs to see my mom and dad at breakfast, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about today. Morning, Mom and Dad. I said happily. Good morning, honey, Inko replied. Morning, my little angel, All Might said with a smile. I sat down and started eating my breakfast, still feeling like something was off but shrugged it off for now. Izumi, come home right after school. I want to train you as soon as possible to inherit one for all, All Might said. I nodded at that, finished eating and made my way to school. On my way there, I met up with Katsuki and Katsumi. Hey, Izumi. Katsuki said happily. Hey Katsuki. How's it going? I replied. I talked with Katsuki while Katsumi joined in from time to time. I knew he had a crush on me for a while, but I hadn't found the right words to express how I felt about him yet. We walked into class together and saw the rest of our friends, but I still felt like someone was missing. Then the teacher walked in and started calling out names for attendance. Izuku Yagi. No one said anything. Izuku Yagi. Again, no one responded. Guess he's absent. That's what I had been feeling all day. Deku wasn't here today. That was strange. I hadn't seen him at breakfast or on the walk to school. Later, my friends and I went up to the roof for lunch. We sat, chatted about things, and had a good time together. Then I asked the group if they had seen my brother. Hey guys, have you seen my brother today? I didn't see him, Mina replied. I didn't see him either, Denki added. No, I haven't, Momo said. I haven't, Shoto chimed in. But was Deku not home today? Katsuki asked. I nodded in frustration. I didn't see him at breakfast today. Maybe he's still in the forest. Shoto suggested. Well, it's fine. I mean, that nerd always comes back, like the little bug he is, Katsuki said. I'm honestly disappointed in him for not showing up today. It isn't like him, Tenya said, chopping his hand in the air. I'm still shocked that he was able to jump over the fence like that, but I'm still feeling the pain from when he used my head as a springboard, Denki said, rubbing his head as he remembered. I'm still shocked too. He jumps as high as me ribbit, so you added. Yeah, how did he learn to do that? It's like he's been training for situations like that, Mina said. It doesn't matter, he can't be a hero with only that. Katsuki exclaimed. Yeah, the nerd is fine, so don't worry about how he did that. Katsumi said. The others nodded in agreement, but I was still thinking about how he did that and how much he must have trained to reach that level. Then I realized something I hadn't thought about before. Hey guys, why did we ever bully Deku? I whispered. Silence fell over the group as everyone stopped talking and thought about why they would bully him, but nothing came to mind that would justify it. Then Momo spoke up in a shaky voice. It's because we wanted to protect him. We didn't want him to become a hero and end up in danger. We bullied him just because we wanted to protect him. Shoka, we wanted to protect him, but instead, we ended up putting him in danger. Ijiro, now that I think about it, bullying someone just because they don't have a quirk isn't right at all. Izumi, I think we need to stop it. We've gone too far with the bullying, and in doing so, we've become villains ourselves. We need to find him and try to make it up to him. Achiko, alright, but what if he doesn't forgive us? What if he still wants to be a hero? Looking down sadly Shoto, whether he forgives us or not is completely up to him. If he still wants to be a hero, then we'll support him. But if he doesn't want to, maybe we can talk to him about joining a different path, like a business or support course. He said calmly but sadly. Katsuki gets up with a grunt. Alright, let's go find him and apologize. Izumi, where do you think he is? I raised an eyebrow. Katsuki looks at her guiltily. He's probably still in the forest. The only way to get through was by jumping it or something, and with the barbed wire on the fence. He probably couldn't get out. I feel bad for my brother. I didn't feel anything for him before, but now I feel guilty and mad at myself and my friends for just going along with it. But I can't talk because she was a part of it. I need to find him and try to make up for the past years of all the things I've done to him. Izuku's POV. I go through the back door. The Yagis always left it unlocked. I walk through the house and feel nothing for them. No hate, no love, no remorse, just emptiness because I realized that I was just nothing to them. I went to my room and pulled up the floorboard, revealing my hidden stash of cash, clothes, and my notebooks. Izuku, I'm going to need all of this to survive for the time being. I can still work at the comic book store, so it should be easy to keep my life afloat for a while until I get into you. I reached in and pulled out all the items, deciding to leave a note on the counter. I needed to leave, to get away from my old life, to find out about my new powers and how they could help me on my path to being a hero. Izuku flips off the house. To heck with you, Yagis. I try to walk off but end up running into a concrete wall. I hit the ground and look up into the sky for a few seconds. I obviously didn't check to see if I had super speed because I was so focused on getting out of that house. Izuku, weakly. Okay, I got super speed. I honestly should have expected that, but I didn't think about it until now. Then I get up and try to use my speed again. It took a few seconds to get used to it, but I started to get the hang of it. I then took off at low speeds for now to find a new place to call home. Izumi's POV. We make it to the fence line, where there's a gate with a lock on it. We see a big sign that concerns me. Warning. Place is known for unsafe environments. Enter at your own risk. Denki, sarcastically. Well, that's not concerning at all. Everyone glares at the blonde, and he shivers at the looks his friends give him. Denki, sorry. Izumi, we need to find a way into the forest. We can't climb it. Momo, can you pick the lock? Momo nodded and created a meteor key, unlocking the lock and opening the gate as it creaked. We made our way in, hearing a bunch of noises and seeing a lot of animals. When we find Izuku, I'm going to apologize to him and give him the biggest hug possible while trying to make up for what I did to him over the years. We walked and walked until we saw the meteor that hit the forest. It was about the size of a car engine, and then I realized something. Izuku was in the forest when the meteor struck. What if he was in the blast zone and got hurt? Izumi, this isn't good. What if Izuku was in the range of where the meteor struck? My friends paled at that thought, and we saw some tracks that confirmed what I had suspected. Footprints of a pair of shoes that looked like the quirkless shoes my brother always wears. Izumi, oh no. He was here when it happened. Katsumi, what if he got hurt or worse? We all tried calling out Izuku's name, but we got nothing. We spent hours searching for him, but there was no sign of him. It was nearly nighttime, and I couldn't give up just yet. Izumi, I can't just leave, he could be here. Momo, we're not giving up, but we don't have the resources to find him right now, and it's getting harder to see even with the flashlights I made. Katsumi, let's come back first thing in the morning. For now, we need to go back, our parents will get suspicious. I realized they were right. I got up reluctantly, and we started making our way back toward the entrance of the forest. We decided to go back to my house to figure out how to find Izuku. Halfway to my house, I saw a green and silver streak pass by us, and when it did, we all stumbled to the ground. Tenya, what was that? Ijiro, I believe the more accurate question is, who was that? Denki, do you think that was someone with a quirk? No way, that thing was moving too fast for it to be a person, and besides, the only one who can move that fast is All Might. Izumi, well, whatever it was, it's gone now, and I highly doubt we'll see it again. We got back up and made it to my house. We opened the door and saw that no one was home yet. No mom, no dad, no Izuku. Izumi, he's still not back yet. Sadly, Momo puts a hand on my shoulder. We're going to find him. We can't give up, and we're not going to. I nodded at that. We made our way to the living room. Some of the others headed toward the couch, while others got water from the fridge. I went to the counter to wash my hands from all the dirt and grime, only to see a letter on the table. With Izuku's handwriting. Izumi, guys, I just found a letter that Izuku left. Hopeful but also nervous everyone, what? Momo, who is it addressed to? Katsumi, what are you waiting for? Open it. I opened the letter to find a handwritten note and a holographic device inside. I looked at the drive and then read the letter, which had only a few words on the paper. This is goodbye. Play the drive, and it will explain everything. A sense of dread filled my stomach as I read that. In an instant, I dropped the letter and ran to Izuku's room. I burst through the door and yelled out his name. Izumi, Izuku. I was horrified at the state of his room. There was only a dirty old bed, ragged clothes, and signs of neglect everywhere. I fell to the ground and started sobbing. I couldn't believe I let my brother live in these conditions. My friends came to see what was wrong, and when they saw the state of his room, they were shocked. Denki, oh no. Katsumi starts tearing up, no. Tenya, this can't be. Everyone was in shock at the sight of his room. Then we heard the door open from downstairs. It was Mom and Dad. I ran toward them with tears in my eyes, and they looked at me with concern. Inko, what's wrong, Izumi? Izumi, crying, it's Izuku, he's gone. Toshinori, gone. What do you mean he's gone? Izumi, he left, he just put a note on the counter and left. They went to see if what I was saying was true. When they saw the state of his room, they were in shock because they had never seen it before. My mother fell to her knees and cried hard at what she had seen. Inko, my baby, what have I done? Sobbing Toshinori, I've been a terrible father. How could I let this happen in my own home? Regretfully, then Dad called everyone he knew to help find Izuku. He called Uncle Shota, Enji, Tuya, Nizu, President Mike, everyone he knew who would help him find his son. When they arrived, they were confused about why he had called them. When my father told them the story, they were completely shocked and angry. Rightfully so. Gran Torino angrily exclaimed, how could you do that to a kid? Did you forget how you started out? After that, my dad received another hit in the gut from Grandpa, and then Uncle Shota grabbed his scarf and wrapped it around Dad. Shota, with a cold look, said, I should confront you right here and now. If you weren't the #1 hero, I would take you to task myself. He pointed at us and continued, and all of you. You bullied him because he didn't have a quirk. Did you forget I fight quirkless? I just erase people's quirks. His eyes glowed red as he spoke. We were all scared of him, but then 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 stepped in to stop the argument. Everyone stop. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 called out and we all turned to look at him. He took a deep breath and said, all this fighting isn't going to change the fact that Izuku Yagi is missing. We need to find him. Some suggested that he should live with Uncle Shota or go with his grandparents. Inko protested, you can't just take my baby boy away from me. Mitsuki replied, he stopped being your kid when you abandoned him. And for what? He was quirkless, he couldn't control that. Mom looked down sadly at the point she made. She had left her son from her previous marriage. Then we heard a beeping sound. We all looked at a holographic device that was beeping, and I went to check it. On the screen it said, play me. It's an audio recording. I said as I pressed the play button. The audio began, if you are watching this, then I've most likely left. You're probably wondering where I am or why I left. I left because I didn't feel like I was part of this family. My parents were never there for me, my sister and her friends bullied me, and everything in my life has been turned upside down because of my quirkless status. To everyone who didn't do anything wrong to me, this wasn't your fault. If you had known sooner about what they were doing to me, I know you would have jumped in and helped me. I'm thankful that at least some people cared about me. And don't worry, I've been saving money for the past few years, so I'll be able to live on my own. P.S. I know about your secret, Toshinori and Inko. Maybe next time, don't reveal your secret to the public. When the audio ended, everyone was in tears. I was sobbing because if I had been a better sister, then he would be here right now with us. I never should have bullied him, I cried. I should have been there for him and protected him instead. I couldn't forgive myself for what I had done. Now I had to live with the burden of my actions. I didn't know if I would be able to look at myself in the mirror again after what I had done to you. Brother. Izuku's POV. An hour earlier, I was in the apartment I had just bought for myself. It was the perfect place for me, complete with a kitchen, dry cleaning area, an oven, and everything I needed to live. I plopped down on the couch, taking in my new home. I need to start training as soon as possible, but before I can do that, I pulled out a notebook and a stack of comics. Research. From what I could tell, the meteor had given me new abilities, but I didn't know what they were or how many I had. The only way to find out was to test all the abilities I could think of. So far, I believed I had super strength, speed, enhanced senses, flight, and some kind of white energy I could use to fight. I thought about all the heroes in comics who had gained abilities through outside forces. They all had one thing in common. They activated their powers by accident and learned to control them over time. So far, I can't take any ideas from quirks because they would be too different from anything else in this world. First, I need to test all of my abilities and then go from there. I got up, put on some gym gear I had bought that day, and made my way to the nearby forest. I looked around to see if anyone was there. From what I could tell, nobody was around. I decided to test my strength against a tree. I punched it, and instead of exploding like last time, it flew back instead, which confused me a little. Izuku wondered why his powers didn't explode like last time and why there wasn't a light coming from his hand. He started to think that the power he used must have been something different, perhaps a combination of his strength and something else. He tried to recall how that power felt. It was raw energy and strength. However, when he attempted to focus on that energy again, he found it elusive. It must be based on emotions or thoughts, Izuku concluded. I need to remember how I felt when I used it. I was angry and frustrated with those who wronged me. Closing his eyes, he settled into a lotus position and concentrated for about 20 minutes, but he made no progress. Frustrated, he began pacing, trying to understand why he couldn't harness this newfound power. After years of longing for it, he felt it slipping away. Why can't I figure this out? I can barely even use my abilities right now. He exclaimed, unknowingly emitting a golden light from his eyes as a cosmic energy enveloped him. My whole life has been difficult. I've been treated poorly just because I was born without a quirk, something beyond my control. As he spoke, storm clouds gathered in the sky, the wind picked up, and ice formed on the ground while warmth radiated from his body. I'm so upset that they would treat me like this just because I didn't have powers like everyone else. He looked around, noticing the chaos he was causing. Excitement surged within him, but it quickly faded. Realizing what he needed to do, he closed his eyes again and focused on all the pain he felt from those who had wronged him. While he was angry, he understood he couldn't let that anger control him. He felt sadness over their abandonment, but he refused to let it consume him. Everything that happens in my life is my choice, no one else's, he declared. As soon as he said that, the wind calmed, warmth enveloped his chest, the ice melted, and the storm clouds dissipated. He felt the power within him, knowing he was in control of his future and that no one could dictate his dreams of becoming a hero. I can do it. I can become a hero. He laughed joyfully. Hey, focus. Let's see what I can do. He found it easy to concentrate and summon the white energy to his hands. Moving them around, he noticed the energy remained. Testing it out, he punched a tree, and it exploded like before, sending trees swaying with the force. Yes, I did it. He cheered, accidentally floating a little into the air. Oh right, he said, gently floating back down. This is so cool. Okay, calm down. Let's test out my super speed. He got into a running position and took off, leaving a green and silver streak behind him. Whoa, he exclaimed, feeling everything around him slow down as he zipped past a group of people. He ran until he reached 𝗧𝗏𝗧𝗏 Municipal Beach, noticing smoke rising from his shoes. Ah, he yelled, running in circles until he splashed his feet in the water. I completely forgot I don't have friction-proof shoes. He chuckled nervously. I'm definitely going to need gear that helps with my powers. Now I need to figure out how to get home. I can't run again or I'll ruin my shoes. Deciding to take the bus home, he reflected on how his life was becoming more interesting by the day. In another scene, a green and silver blur raced through the desert, moving faster than the speed of sound. The blur slowed down and came to a stop, revealing a young man with white hair, wearing gym shorts and a white shirt, completely barefoot. He was breathing slightly but smiling. He squatted down and jumped into the sky, attempting to fly but only reaching about 50 feet before falling back to the ground. Frustrated, he got up and closed his eyes, squatting on one knee and placing a fist on the ground. Dust particles swirled around him as he gathered all his strength into his legs, blasting off into the sky once more in an attempt to fly again. On the other side of the world, a green-haired girl was clearing a beach. She wore a green tracksuit, and her hair was tied back in a ponytail. She was training her body to gain strength and build endurance. A skinny blonde man watched her from the side. After putting down a pile of garbage, she looked at the beach. It was still quite dirty, but she was making progress. It had been a few weeks since her brother left, and she felt like the worst person in the world. Her father had decided to pass on a special power to her, even though she felt she didn't deserve it. She believed her brother deserved it more. However, her father convinced her to accept it so she could become a hero for her brother and redeem herself. Meanwhile, Izuku had been trying for weeks to fly again, but it was challenging. He didn't want to attract attention by flying around Japan, so he decided to go to the desert. There, he could train without anyone watching, ensuring no one would get hurt. Ever since he gained his powers, he hadn't been able to fly again. The first time had been an accident, and he struggled to recreate that moment. He put his notebook in his pocket, trying to remember how characters in comics learned to fly through intensive training. Well, let's try to fly again, he said, squatting down into a jumping stance. He jumped into the sky, reaching about 50 feet. He saw the sun and put his arms in front of him, attempting to fly. Suddenly, he began to fall, and panic set in. Ah, he screamed, waving his arms frantically as the ground approached. He braced himself for impact, closing his eyes and waiting for the pain. But after a few seconds, he felt nothing. Opening his eyes, he discovered he was floating a few inches off the ground. Excitedly, he pulled himself upright and yelled, "Yow! I finally did it! I can fly!" He blasted off into the air, soaring like he did the first time, but now he could do it on command. "This is amazing!" he exclaimed, spinning faster and climbing higher into the sky. He paused in midair, taking in the appealing morning sky. I did it. Finally. He sighed, pulling out his notebook to write about the experience of flying, how difficult it was at first, but how he was starting to get the hang of it. He flew back down and landed with a bit of trouble, realizing he needed to work on his landing and develop his own flight style. He knew that heroes with flying abilities had their unique styles, and he needed to find his own. I need to look up everything I can about heroes who fly. Once I gather all the knowledge, I can discover a style that works for me, he said as he wrote in his notebook. Okay, let's see what else I can do. I already know I have super speed, strength, enhanced senses, flight, enhanced durability, and my special punches. He thought for a moment. A few weeks ago, when he first discovered his unique energy, he noticed ice crystals forming, storm clouds gathering, and a warm sensation in his body. Maybe. He stood up, focusing on that feeling again. He sensed the same things happening as before, but this time he felt calm and in control. He decided to concentrate on the heat element. As he focused, the wind settled, the static in the air faded, and the ice stopped forming, leaving only the warmth. He felt the heat light up on his right hand and opened his eyes to see flames covering it. He raised his hand to his face, staring at it in awe. Izuku, it's appealing. Let's see if I can send it out. I send the fire towards the floor in front of me, and the ground begins to burn. Izuku, panicking up. Bad idea. Bad idea. I don't have anything to put this out. I focus on switching from heat to cold. I hope this works. I point my hand at the fire in hopes that I can 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴𝐽𝐿, and an ice blast comes out from my outstretched hand. Izuku, oh thank goodness, I don't know what I was thinking just putting a fire in the desert. I look at the time in Japan and decide to pack up and head home. I get home by running at Makazuku. I ran up to the front of my door with my shoes in one hand. I really need to get new shoes so I don't have to go barefoot every time I want to use my speed. Once I'm in my apartment, I get undressed, take a shower, eat some dinner while writing my analyses for my powers, and then I head to sleep for the night. The next day, I wake up, make breakfast for myself, and get ready for work. I head out of my apartment complex and walk to my job at the comic shop. You would think that a comic shop wouldn't be popular in today's world considering how we have real heroes, but you couldn't be more wrong about that. I walk until I see a group of people gathering around someone. I walk closer to see what's going on. What I hear next is quite concerning for me. B1. Now are you ready to give up and give us your money, or do we have to make this harder for you? Smirks. I won't give up to people like you. B2. You could have avoided this trouble. B3. Get ready, you're about to regret this. Laughs. I see the guy getting scared, and I decide to step in and stop these guys. Izuku, hey, stop. They turn around to see me, but they can't see my face because I have my hoodie up. I speed towards one of them and punch the guy in the gut, sending him into the wall. B1. What the heck? B2. How strong is this guy? He activates his quirk, letting him have scales on his body, while the other pulls out a knife. I speed past the one with the knife and go for the one with the scales. I punch him, sending him back a few feet, then I continue with a flurry of punches and kicks. Finally, I get him down with a strong punch to the jaw. B1. Who are you? I don't answer the question, I just hit him in the head, knocking him out. Then I look at the guy with purple hair and eye bags that remind me of my uncle. He's shocked at how I took those guys down so easily. Who are you? Izuku, I'm someone who just helped you out because you looked like you needed it. Now do you mind telling me why those guys were trying to attack you? He scoffs at that, then answers. They attacked me because of my quirk. It's called brainwashing. When I ask someone a question and they answer, I can tell them what to do. They all called me a villain in the making. I can connect with him a lot because I was abandoned for not having a quirk, and he's called a villain because of his quirk. In a way, we're both the same. Izuku, I've never gotten your name. What is it? It's Hitoshi Shinso. Izuku, well, Shinso, it's nice to meet you. Now let's get out of here. Those guys are starting to wake up, and I don't want to be here when that happens. We both run away towards my job, and when we make our way in, I lock the door behind me. We look at each other and burst out laughing. Izuku, okay, Even I know that running like that was a bit much. Laughs Hitoshi. Yeah, the way we ran, I think we could give speed heroes a run for their money. Laughs. We stop laughing, and Hitoshi takes in his surroundings. Hitoshi, we're in a comic book store. Izuku, yeah, I work here during the summer, and this place actually gets pretty busy, believe it or not. Look, there's even a line forming outside already. We look outside to see a lot of kids with their parents and teens. I go to open the door, and people come in as I flip the sign from closed to open. I get behind the desk and put on my name tag. Hitoshi, you work here. Izuku, yep, ever since I was 12, and I've been here for longer. Hitoshi, I get the excitement, but why do people come here when there are real heroes out there? Izuku, it's mostly because the parents don't want to put their kids in danger while watching heroes. Hitoshi thinks about it for a second and then nods. Hitoshi, yeah, I get where they're coming from. Watching heroes fight is cool and all, but I wouldn't want to put lives at stake. Izuku, yeah, and not to mention these are the first superheroes of our time. We talk about heroes and their powers, and then Hitoshi asks me a question I wasn't prepared for. Hitoshi, oh, I forgot to ask, what's your quirk? I mean, it's got to be pretty strong. You took those guys out pretty easily and fast, might I add. I didn't have anything ready for a question about my quirk. I looked at him and could see that he seemed to be someone I could trust with my secret, so I decided to tell him the truth. Izuku, look, you seem to be someone I can trust, so can you promise me that you won't tell anyone about my secret? Hitoshi looked confused for a second before answering sure, but it can't be that crazy, right? It's just your quirk you're talking about. I take a deep breath before sighing and then go on to tell him what happened. Izuku, I got my powers from something not from this world. You know that meteor that hit the forest a few weeks ago? Hitoshi, yeah, everyone on the news was talking about how crazy it was when it landed there. What does that have to do with this? Izuku, sighs. I was quirkless before, but I was there when the meteor struck the ground. It was glowing with power, and I felt like it was calling to me. When I placed my hand on it, I felt this overwhelming sensation of strength and power. When I woke up, I had powers that no one could ever imagine. I look at him to see his reaction to my story, and his mouth gapes open in surprise. Hitoshi, dude, that's a lot to take in. I mean, you were quirkless 1 minute, and the next you wake up with power beyond this world. It all sounds like something out of a comic or a movie, but considering that we live in a world of quirks, it's not impossible. I sighed in relief that he believed me because we seemed to understand each other, and I didn't want to lose someone who might become my friend because he thought I was crazy. Hitoshi, so what kind of powers do you have? Izuku, from what I can tell, I have super strength, speed, enhanced senses, flight, enhanced durability, and this white energy I can use to attack. I can also control fire, ice, lightning, and wind. But I still have more I need to figure out. Hitoshi, dang, you could really do a lot with power like that. You might even be able to beat All Might with all that. I frowned at the thought of that man. He wasn't the hero I thought he was anymore. I used to admire him, but now anytime I hear or think about him, I feel uneasy. Izuku, well, what about you? Do you want to be a hero? Your quirk could be useful. He looked shocked that I would believe that. Hitoshi, you really think so? A quirk like mine? Izuku, Hitoshi, have you ever thought about making people do what you want with your quirk? Hitoshi, no, not at all. Izuku, then your quirk isn't evil and neither are you. Any quirk can be used for good or bad, but you haven't done anything wrong. In all honesty, your quirk would be great for hero work. Think about it. If you just ask someone a question, you could ensure that no one would get hurt. Hitoshi, I never thought of that. Thanks. Wait, I never got your name. Izuku, oh my bad. I'm Izuku Midoriya. Little did I know he would become one of my best friends. Izuku's POV. I've been training with Hitoshi for a few months. He was bad at fighting at first, but he's starting to get the hang of things. Meanwhile, I've found a new ability. I discovered it when I was training with Shinso. I found that the blue energy is basically like Yaoyorozu's creation quirk, but I don't have to know the molecular structure of the item I want. I can just touch another material, and it turns into what I want, even the air. You're probably wondering how I know this. Well, I accidentally turned the ground into wood when I placed my hands on it. Izuku, okay, this is starting to get ridiculous. How many powers do I have? Hitoshi, I have no idea. But the powers you get, I'm just going to have to catch up. I mean, unless you don't know how to use them. Smirks Izuku, smirks at his challenge. Well then, I'm just going to have to get the hang of my new power. Later, we decided to take the rest of the day off and head towards the mall. I put on my mask so no one could see my face, even though my hair and eyes are different, but my freckles are a dead giveaway of who I am. We made our way to the mall to look for some practice weapons for us to use in training. Then we saw a girl being cornered by a group of guys. I noticed there were no cameras where they were, so I decided to help her, and Hitoshi was following my lead. Izuku whispers, why does this feel so similar to when I saved you from those bullies? He just shrugged his shoulders as we made our way over before anything bad happened to the girl. As we got closer, I saw she had orange hair put into a ponytail, teal eyes, and a very pretty face. What am I thinking? Not now. Save the girl first before doing anything. We approached and then I heard something that made me angry. Teens T1, T2, T3, and T4. Hey, let me go. T1, where do you think you're going, honey? T2, you ain't going anywhere until we get what we want. T3, and we're going to do what we can to get what we want. T4, by any means necessary. Activated his fire quirk in his right hand before they could do anything to her. We decided to step in at that moment. Izuku, hey. Hitoshi, what's going on here? T3, get out of here, yo, stops talking and his eyes go blank. Hitoshi, punch yourself in the face. He did so and knocked himself out. I ran over and blasted the guy with the fire with my water blast from my hand. He was shocked to see me, but before he could do anything, I kneed him in the face, knocking him out. I looked to the other two to see one of them in hand-to-hand combat with Hitoshi, while the other guy was enraged and activated his quirk to make himself bigger. T2, you're both going to pay for that, you little brats. Charges at me. I ducked under him, but he nicked my cheek. I kicked him, and he fell to his knees, gasping for air. He shrank back to his original size, and I hit him in the head, knocking him out. I looked at Hitoshi to see he had finished with the last guy. We looked at the girl to see if she was okay. Izuku, miss, are you okay? You're not hurt, are you? She looked at me and blushed for some reason, then answered with red cheeks. Why yeah, I think I'm alright, a little shaken up though. What about you two? Are you guys alright? Hitoshi, I'm good. Izuku, I'm okay, but I just got nicked in the cheek. I feel my cheek and see the BLD on my hand. Oh no. I'm so sorry. Here, let me help. Pulls out a mini first aid kit from her purse and starts cleaning up the BLD. Before I could protest after she was done cleaning my face, she pulled out a bandage and put it on my right cheek. She cupped my cheek, and I looked at her and smiled softly with a slight blush on my cheek. Izuku, thanks for patching me up. Blushing slightly, it's okay, and besides, you wouldn't need to if I wasn't in trouble. Then she realized what she was doing, pulled her hand back quickly, and blushed. Then Hitoshi coughed into his fist to get everyone's attention. We looked at him, and I could tell he was clearly uncomfortable watching this. Hitoshi, not that I'm not happy to see this happening in front of me, sarcastic, but what are we going to do about these guys? We looked to see the guys still knocked out from our encounter, so we decided to do the right thing and tell the mall cops. They arrested them, and we were about to go our separate ways until she stopped me by grabbing my hand. Wait, hang on. I never got to thank you two for saving me, and I never got your names. Izuku, oh well, I'm Izuku Midoriya, and he's Hitoshi Shinso. And you don't have to do that. We get cut off by the girl. I looked at Hitoshi to see if he was okay with it. He just shrugged and went along with it. I sighed, looked back at her, and nodded. Her face brightened at that, and she pulled me and Hitoshi towards a restaurant. She told us to order anything we wanted, and it was on her. We ordered our food and talked about various topics like heroes, news, and other things. Then she told us her name. My name is Itsuka Kendo. Well, that's a pretty name for a pretty girl, I said, realizing I had just said that out loud. She blushed, and I hid my head in my hands while looking away. After we recovered from our blushes, we continued talking, and the topic of quirks came up. 𝐮𝐮𝐬𝐴 told us about hers, called Big Fists, which allowed her to enlarge her fists. Then Hitoshi shared about his quirk, and the topic of mine came up. So, what's yours? It has to be some kind of water quirk from how you shot water at that guy, 𝐮𝐮𝐴 said. I felt nervous about what to tell her. She seemed trustworthy, so I took a deep breath and started. Look, I'll tell you about it, but you need to promise you won't tell anyone, okay? She looked confused for a second but then nodded. I began to explain what happened to me, how I got my powers, and how I was still figuring them out. 𝐮𝐮𝐴 took a moment to digest everything I said, as I had never shared my past with anyone before. So let me get this straight, she said. You ran into a forest to get away from some bullies, got lost, were there when the meteor hit the ground, felt like it was calling to you, and when you touched the rock, all the energy from it went into you. Am I missing anything? Yeah, you pretty much got all of it, I replied. Well, that's a lot to take in, she said. Yeah, and I almost didn't believe it at first, but considering we have people with quirks, it's more possible than you would think, Hitoshi added. Yeah, but it's still a little hard to believe, 𝐮𝐮𝐴 said. That's understandable, it's something you would find in a comic book, I agreed. We decided to leave and head back to our homes, planning to meet up the next morning to train. 𝐮𝐮𝐴 wanted to join us as we all aimed to get into yagi. The next day, Hitoshi and I made our way toward the beach and saw 𝐮𝐮𝐴 there. She was wearing a black tank top, gray shorts, and running shoes. I noticed the shorts were quite short, but I shook my head to clear my thoughts. Hey 𝐮𝐮𝐴, how's it going? I called out. Hey, Izuku. It's good, just waiting for you guys. She replied, laughing nervously. We got over our initial awkwardness and started training. I practiced my matter manipulation abilities, creating various objects like weapons and poles. I ended up making a bunch of junk but was able to turn everything back into sand. Then we decided to train with wooden weapons. First up was me against 𝐮𝐮𝐴, and since I didn't know her fighting style, I knew this would be challenging. Remember, no using our quirks, just our skills and combat experience, I reminded her. Don't worry, I've got it, she said confidently. We got into our stances, and Hitoshi acted as the referee. Ready? Begin. He called. In the blink of an eye, we were throwing attacks and blocking against each other. I saw an opening and took it, hitting her in the side. She fell to the ground, and I ran toward her, putting the wooden katana to her neck. I yield, she sighed in defeat. I helped her up, and when she stood, she bumped into my chest. She blushed and looked away. We continued training throughout the day, taking breaks from time to time. Later, we all headed home. Hitoshi went his own way, but since 𝐮𝐮𝐴 and I lived in the same direction, I decided to walk her home. We both blushed at the thought of walking together, but it was just a friendly gesture. 𝐮𝐮𝐴, today was great, but I need to work harder if I want to get into you. The exams are in 8 months, and I need to give it my all. Izuku, I understand where you're coming from, but you have a great quirk, and it can be very versatile when used correctly. So instead of saying, if I want to get in, say, when I get into you. If you say it like that, it will help boost your confidence and fill your mind with positivity. Go ahead and try it. 𝐮𝐮𝐴, I'm going to work harder for when I get into you. Hi. Izuku, keep saying that to yourself, and you'll be great. Smiles at her, she smiles back, a slight blush on her cheeks, and then we reach her house. This is where we're supposed to part ways for the night, but she does something unexpected. She grabs my hand and gives me a kiss on the cheek. I'm taken aback by what she just did. 𝐮𝐮𝐴, that's for saving me and training with me. Blushes softly, then she walks into her house. I'm still frozen in place, blushing like crazy. After a moment, I snap out of it and walk home with a smile and a warm feeling in my chest. Izuku, I think I like her. I mean really like her. Blushing softly, Izumi's POV. I've managed to clear up half of the beach in the past few months, but judging by my timing, I'll probably finish cleaning the rest on the last day of training. I still haven't found my brother, but I'm not losing hope. I just hope my friends and I see him in the yagi exam. Today is my day off, so I decided to hang out with my friends and talk about anything. Eventually, we start discussing my brother and where we might look next. Momo, Zuzu has to be somewhere in Japan. We have to keep searching. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, we've been looking for the past 5 months and haven't seen any signs of him. Maybe he left the country. I think about it for a moment and then shake my head. Izumi, I don't think so. If he did, he wouldn't be able to come to you and become a hero. They all consider this and nod in agreement. Izumi, besides, we might see him in the entrance exams. That's our best chance to find him. They all agree, and we decide to change the topic because we know that dwelling on the past won't help us. Izuku's POV, I've decided to finally reach out to the side of my family that has treated me well. I sent them a letter about when I would meet them, mentioning that I have a different appearance so they wouldn't recognize me. It's 4 o'clock and the meeting is in 30 minutes. I tell my friends that I won't be training today because I have some family matters to attend to, which isn't entirely untrue. I make my way to the school quickly, arriving in just a few moments. I decide to wait until the last minute to go in, wanting to make a memorable entrance for my Uncle 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐬𝐴. I fly over the border, avoiding any alarms, and make my way to my uncle's office window, waiting for everyone to gather inside before I make my entrance. Izuku, and now the waiting game. Laughs, trying to imitate a villain's laugh, but it doesn't feel quite right. I finally see everyone in the room with my enhanced sight and decide it's time to make my entrance. This will be great. No one's POV, Izuku's aunts and uncles at you, are gathered in the middle of the room, waiting for him to show up on the camera or something, but after a while he still hasn't appeared. Eraserhead, the problem child still isn't here. Midnight, maybe he's running late. President Mike, do you think he got into trouble? Endeavor, I don't think so. In the letter, he mentioned keeping a low profile as a new applicant, so I highly doubt that. Blue Blaze 𝐶𝐶, I agree with Endeavor, he's probably just caught up in traffic. Blizzard Ray, yeah, all we have to do is wait for him and… They all heard knocking coming from somewhere, and then they turned to see a blue-hooded man floating in the air. All the heroes got ready for a confrontation because a stranger had somehow made it past the border. For you. All the heroes shouted, taking fighting stances. Relax, I'm not here for trouble, I just want to talk, the man replied. Eraserhead said, I can't erase his quirk. Can I come in, or do I have to wait out here? It looks like it's going to start raining, the man continued. They all reluctantly agreed to let the man into the school to explain how and why he was there. Izuku's POV, their reactions were priceless. They didn't see me coming. I started to head toward 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴's office with Uncle Aizawa and Aunt Emmy in front of me. We made our way into Uncle 𝐒𝐮𝐴's office, and I could tell everyone was a little on edge. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 asked, So, sir, would you care to explain why you are here and how you got in? I got in by flying above your radar, and as for why I'm here, I took off my hood, revealing myself. I'm Izuku Midoriya. Everyone's jaws dropped at seeing me, and then a split second later, they snapped out of it. They looked at Tsukachi to see if he was telling the truth, and he nodded in confirmation. Then all the ladies burst out in tears and hugged me while crying. I missed all of you too, but I'm starting to lose air. I struggled to breathe. They all let go, still a bit teary-eyed, and then I felt 2 canes hit my knees, causing me to fall down. I looked up to see my grandma and grandpa standing in front of me. Do you have any idea how worried we were about you? You nearly gave me a heart attack when you disappeared. Grandma Recovery Girl exclaimed. You are very reckless, just up and leaving without a trace. Grandpa Gran Torino added seriously. I apologized profusely, not wanting to feel the disappointment from my grandparents. They hugged me again and said they missed me. Then all my uncles gathered around and brought me into a big hug. 𝐒𝐮𝐴 then asked the question that was on everyone's mind. We're all happy to see you again, Izuku, but we must ask, how did you fly and why do you look so different? 𝐒𝐮𝐴 inquired. Well, that's a long story, Uncle 𝐒𝐮𝐴, and it's going to take a while to explain everything, I replied. 𝐶𝐮𝐴 said, we've got time, but you better start because the longer you wait, the more our grandparents are going to want to lecture you. I explained everything that had happened. Izumi's squad chasing me, running into the forest, almost getting hit by a meteor, feeling like the meteor was calling to me, and finally discovering that I had somehow gained powers. At first, they were skeptical, but when they looked at 𝐒𝐻𝐵𝐵𝐵 for confirmation, he nodded, indicating I was telling the truth. Then my grandparents came over and lightly tapped me on the head. What was that for?" I exclaimed. "That's for thinking it was a good idea to touch a space rock," Grandpa said sternly. "Do you have any idea how dangerous that could have been? If your body didn't accept the power from the asteroid, you could have been seriously hurt." Grandma added, looking concerned. "Okay, I get it. No more touching weird rocks from outer space," I replied. "Regardless of your decision to touch that rock, I need to check you to see if there's anything wrong after that experience," Grandma said. Nizu interjected, "You may do that later, recovery girl, but for now, we must know all about your new powers and abilities." So far, I've discovered I have super strength, speed, enhanced senses, invincibility, flight, control over fire and ice, lightning, wind, and some kind of energy manipulation, I explained, rubbing the back of my head sheepishly. "But I still haven't figured out everything yet." They were all shocked by the extent of my powers and that I still had more to uncover. Later, they decided to do a scan on my body to see how it had changed, and what we found out was a little surprising. RG, I tried to take some scans, but all I got was this. Shows a scan of my body, but it just said, "Insufficient data, please try again." Izuku, there's nothing on it. RG, exactly, and that's the problem. I can't get any readings of your body, and I can't take any DNA samples because of how durable you are. Based on what you told us, you were able to crash land into solid concrete without so much as a scratch. Nizu, we don't have the right technology here to see what's happening inside. While I'll ask Power Loader to help in this manner, it could be a while before he completes it. Izuku, well, that's just insane. RG, we still need to do some more testing, but from what I can tell, you're healthy. They ran the normal tests on my body to see if anything had changed. From what they can tell, my body still has motor responses and functions like a normal human would, which didn't really help with figuring out how much had changed. I got ready to leave, and then Uncle Niza gave me a recommendation slip, but I declined because I wanted to get in on my own with my powers. It's about more than just your own quirk, it's about what you can do and how much you're able to accomplish on your own. Izuku's POV. I'm running in the salt lands at Mach 1 right now. I've never felt more alive than I do when I'm running like this. I may be going fast, but I feel like I can go even faster if I really push myself. The downside to my powers is that I need to have enough stamina, which isn't too much of a problem because I have regeneration. I only need to wait a minute or so before I can use my powers again, and I need to be barefoot for speed training. One thing I've noticed is that I feel more powerful at night when all the stars are out or on sunny days. Then I come to a stop in front of my things and write in my notes about what I've discovered and what I still don't know. I've found out that another energy, orange energy, can be used as a heavy defense against enemies. I discovered this energy when I was practicing with 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽𝐿. When she tried to land a strike against me, it just appeared in front of me. It seems that all my new energies activate when I need them or when my emotions are high, which wouldn't be efficient for hero work. If I get a little too angry, I could accidentally cause a lot of destruction. I finished writing in my notebook and decided to pack up and head back home. Tomorrow is the 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽𝐿 entrance exam, and I felt ready for it. I knew that with what I could do now, I would be able to make my way into the school of my dreams. I made my way back to my apartment with my flight and landed in front of my door. I had finally developed my own flying style that I can use during hero work. I entered my apartment, took a shower, ate dinner, and decided to go to sleep. Tomorrow was the day I had been training for all my life, the beginning of my journey to becoming the hero I have always wanted to be. Izumi's POV. I spent all night cleaning up the rest of the beach, and I finally finished. I stood on top of the pile of garbage, feeling triumphant and determined. I cheered into the air in victory just as I heard my dad approaching. All Might's skinny form. Hey, wow, Izumi. You even cleaned up outside the area I told you to. All Might, seriously. There's not a speck of trash left on this beach, and you did it with only a few minutes to spare. You exceeded my expectations. All Might buff form, incredible. I began to feel tired and fell down, but Dad caught me before I hit the ground. All Might, excellent work, Izumi. Izumi, Tired, I finished everything. Dad, I did it. Do you think I'm ready now? All Might, yeah, you did great, kid. I'm impressed. I knew you had it in you, but this is beyond what I expected. All Might, look how far you've come. There's still a long road ahead before you can use my full power set, but it's starting to look like you can handle it. Izumi, Dad. Do I deserve this? Are you sure? After everything I've done to Izuku, I'm not even sure if I deserve this power. All Might, thinking I can understand why she feels this way. We still haven't found him, and there's no trace of him anywhere. We're starting to lose hope of ever finding him again. All Might, you've pushed yourself to do this because you wanted to become better. Now, for your reward, Izumi Yagi. Izumi, yes, sir. All Might, plucks a hair out. Your grandmother once told me that there's a clear difference between being lucky and being deserving. One is accidental, and the other is a reward. Never get the two confused. Take that to heart, Izumi. This gift is something you earned with your own valiant efforts. Then my father held the piece of hair in front of me and said something surprising. All Might, you need to eat this. Izumi. All Might rubs the back of his head sheepishly. I forgot to mention that for you to inherit my power, you have to swallow some of my DNA. That's how it works. Izumi, this isn't how I imagined it. You could have told me beforehand. Feeling uneasy. All Might, come on, there's no time. You'll be late for the exam. Eat. She hesitated but eventually swallowed the hair. Feeling a bit queasy. All Might, good. You've swallowed it, right? Izumi, yeah, but I don't feel like anything has changed. All Might laughs, well, of course not. Your body has to process it first. Looks at the time. It should kick in after 2 or 3 hours. Izumi, my stomach's in knots. And I still need to shower and eat something before the exam. All Might, serious tone. Look, you may have molded your body into a proper vessel, but you did it in a hurry, so be careful. You haven't tested the power yet. The physical effects of one for all can be intense. I looked at him, confused and a little worried. Physical effects. Does that mean I'll get really exhausted, or will I just end up straining some muscles? Before I could ask him, he interrupted me. All Might, there's no time to go into the details, but take note. You've got to prepare yourself before using this quirk. So I want you to clench your fists and yell this from the depths of your heart. Smash. I nodded, and then we made our way back home. I changed into my school uniform, had breakfast, and left to meet up with my friends as we made our way to the exam. Izuku's POV. I was walking with my best friends, Hitoshi and Itsuka. I had finished online schooling a few weeks ago and had all the right paperwork filled out for the exam. Now it was just time for me to take the exam and get in. I was wearing my casual clothes because I didn't have a uniform, while my friends were in theirs. Izuku, you guys ready? Itsuka. Yeah, I think so. Hitoshi, yeah, I'm a little nervous. Izuku, don't worry. You've been practicing for almost a year now, and I know you can both get in. They nodded, looking determined to pass. We all were, and we were allowed to bring weapons or support items. Hitoshi chose a one-handed katana, and Itsuka chose a short sword that matched her eyes. I decided to go with dual katanas, which I had created for light and fast attacks, perfect for my fighting style. I looked up to see the gates. They were much bigger in person and important, might I add. Hitoshi, well, looks like we're here. Itsuka, we're really doing this, huh? I noticed she was a bit nervous, so I put my hand on her shoulder, and she looked at me with a slight blush on her face. Izuku, hey, remember, a hero isn't someone who always wins. It's someone who tries their best to make sure that people's dreams can become a reality. She nodded, and as we walked in, I frowned because I heard my past walking past us, but then the robot called me and my friends out for some reason. Tenya, excuse me, but if you're not going to take this exam seriously, then I suggest you leave. Others here are trying to get into this school. He doesn't know who I am or recognize me because I'm wearing a half mask that covers my freckles, and my hair is white now. I look at my friends and nod for them to go on without me, assuring them I'll catch up. Then I give him a stern look and say, Izuku, I do online school, you know. I don't have a uniform to wear. Then the robot backs off, and the redhead comes up and apologizes. Ijiro, I'm sorry about him, He's a rule follower. I hope it doesn't start us off on the wrong foot. I'm Ijiro Kirishima, and it's nice to meet you. Holds out a hand for a handshake. Izuku just looks at him sternly and coldly. He feels uncomfortable and puts his hand down. Then I walk off and meet up with my friends at the front entrance. We register and take the written exam. I finish my exam in less than 10 minutes because of my intelligence and go to wait for my friends. While I wait, I play some video games on my phone to pass the time. An hour later, I look up to see my friends come out of their testing halls and spot me playing on my phone. Izuku, hey guys, how was it? Hitoshi, it was pretty easy thanks to all of our study sessions. Itsuka nods and then asks, Itsuka, let me guess, you finished in less than 5 minutes. Izuku smirks. Nope, I finished in less than 3 minutes. They roll their eyes, and we make our way to the room where Uncle Mike explains what to do. Then the robot is called out, and Mike explains that the final robot is just an obstacle that specializes in close quarters, and it's best to avoid it. I wish my friends good luck and then change into my gym clothes. I'm wearing a white shirt with black track briefs, running shoes, and my katanas are strapped to my back while the straps make an X on my chest. I get on the bus and decide to take a little nap before the exam. I hear people talking about how well they would do, but I just ignore them. I feel the bus stop and hear people starting to get off. I get off the bus and mentally prepare myself as I see my past, the robot, and the others. I try to ignore them, but luck is on my side today because I can sense that the robot is coming my way, but the gates open before they can start a conversation. In a blink of an eye, I blitz past all of them and start taking down robots. The other examinees are surprised because I went off before the signal. Random examiner. Huh? What an idiot. He didn't even wait for the signal. President Mike, what are you guys waiting for? There are no countdowns in a real battle. Go follow that guy. He's already got enough points to pass. Everyone It's only been 30 seconds. They all run off trying to catch up with me. They see a bunch of defeated robots on the ground and wonder how I did that so fast. In the observation room, in a dimly lit room, we see the staff sitting and looking at the monitors. They see a purple-haired team cutting through robots and dashing around them when they try to get a hit in. Then the staff sees another student with enlarged fists destroying robots and dashing around them while countering with a short sword. Midnight, we have a lot of contestants this year. President Mike. Yeah, and there are a lot of them who have potential. Then they see a green and silver blur blitz past a camera, showcasing the destruction of robots left behind. Some of the other staff members already know who this is and feel proud of how far he has come with his own power. Then they see a green-haired girl in the exam. Some of them frown just by looking at her while others glare at her through the monitor. Her recommendation was removed along with Todoroki's and Yaoyorozu's. We then see a skinny blonde man along with a green-haired woman sitting and watching their daughter in the exam. Magnetic, look at her go. All Might, I know, I'm so proud. She's the one who will be the next symbol of peace. Nizu, well, let's see how the examiners handle this obstacle. Nizu pushes a big red button, and the exam site begins rumbling as he chuckles. Izuku's POV, it's been a few minutes, and I've taken down a lot of robots in that time. I sliced through another one easily with my katanas, then spun them around to get rid of the oil on them and sheathed them back in their respective saya. Izuku, I'm pretty sure I got enough points to pass, but the more the merrier. Plus, I get to let loose a little bit here. Then I feel the ground beginning to rumble and look to see a giant robot coming my way, while people are running away. Izuku, well, that's not concerning at all. Should avoid at all costs. It's practically impossible to do that when that thing is as big as a building. I started to run away but then saw a person stuck under some fallen rock. I took a closer look and saw it was the girl with the gravity quirk trapped underneath. I didn't want to save her, but everyone else was running away, and I couldn't let a grudge against her hold me back from being a hero. I started running towards the robot, grabbed my katanas, and took them out of their saya. I squatted down and blasted up into the sky. I had been practicing a new move but hadn't used it in combat yet. I activated my white energy and fire at the same time. They swirled around the katanas, roaring with power and energy. I brought them over my head, reached the robot's head, and slashed down with a shout. Izuku, improvised special move, Comet WHP. I hit the robot, making a clean slice from the top of its head all the way down to the bottom, causing a big explosion. The katanas broke because they weren't designed to handle that amount of power. I would have to figure out how to make some that would work or ask the support department to help. I levitated back down to the ground and landed safely. Everyone was in shock at what I had just done. RE number 19. Did you see what that guy just did? RE number 24. Talk about a strong quirk. RE number 7. Yeah, but wait, I thought his quirk gave him speed, not flying. RE number 9. Yeah, but I saw his swords catch on fire, so what could his quirk be? I walked over to the girl and pulled the rubble off her legs, freeing her. When the exam ended, I walked off without saying another word and went to meet up with my friends. Observation room. Everyone in the room had slack jaws at what they just saw. They were all in shock until Eraserhead snapped them out of it. Eraserhead, that was incredible, stupid but incredible. Vlad King, do you want to take this one, Eraser, or should it? Eraserhead, nope, all you. Besides, I need to deal with the problem class. Don't want to add him into the mix. Vlad King nodded. On the other side of the room, All Might and Magnetic were looking at the screen in shock. But All Might was in shock for a different reason. He saw someone who had multiple quirks and only thought of one person who could do that. All Might, no it can't be. I thought he was gone. He couldn't have found a successor. Right? 𝐒𝐻𝐬𝐴 looked at him and sighed in annoyance and anger, but he couldn't blame him. If he didn't know the full story, he would think the same. But he wasn't about to let anything bad happen to his nephew, not after all the challenges he went through as a kid. He was going to protect him no matter what. 2 weeks later. I'm walking home with my friends. Hitoshi decided to go the rest of the way home by himself. Then it was just me and 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 alone, together. Izuku, now might be the best time for me to confess my feelings. But how? No, it's fine, you're okay, Izuku. She's been giving me signs that she may feel the same way. I just have to be confident in myself. Alright, here goes. Izuku, hey 𝐒𝐮𝐴. We stopped walking and looked at each other. Izuku, I've been waiting to tell you something for a while now, but I wasn't sure if you felt the same way. I like you, 𝐒𝐮𝐴. A lot. Hides behind his hands and blushes 𝐒𝐮𝐴, shocked and blushing. Thoughts, oh my gosh. He likes me like how I like him. This is amazing. Okay, calm down, I just need to tell him that I feel the same way. Izuku, it's fine if you don't feel the same way, gets cut off by 𝐒𝐮𝐴. I feel the same way. I just needed to know if you felt the same. Blushes harder Izuku, blushes and smiles, so if you like me and I like you, then can we date? 𝐒𝐮𝐴, I don't see why not. Considering we both like each other in that way. Smiles at him, then we both cupped each other's faces and shared a kiss. It was great, especially since it was our first kiss. We leaned our heads against each other, looked at each other, and smiled. I decided to walk her all the way home to make sure she was safe, and we held hands the whole way. When we got to her home, she gave me a kiss on the cheek before walking back inside. When I was alone, I felt so happy. I had a girlfriend, a appealing one at that, and I was so excited I ran home so fast. When I got there, I checked my mailbox and found a letter from you. I ran up to my apartment, and when I got home, I rushed into my room, sat down at my desk, and opened the envelope. A hologram disc fell out and started to play. It showed my uncle 𝐒𝐻𝐬𝐴. 𝐒𝐻𝐬𝐴, hello, Izuku Midoriya. I'm here to give you the results of your exam. For the writing part of the exam, you gained a perfect score of 100%, and in your practical exam, you gained 135 villain points. Usually, that's more than enough points for you to get into the hero course. I sighed in relief because I had made it in, but then he continued. 𝐒𝐻𝐬𝐴, but villain points aren't all we count for. We also consider actions, and that's why I'm here to tell you that the practical exam was not graded on combat skills alone. Heroes are supposed to be selfless, saving people no matter what the consequences to their own lives may be. After all, that's what makes a hero. That's what my school is all about, training those who would risk their lives for the greater good. He showed a screenshot of the leaderboard with names on it and continued. 𝐒𝐻𝐬𝐴, that's why we have rescue points. A panel of judges watches and awards points for heroic actions beyond just fighting villains. Izuku Midoriya, you earned 80 rescue points. Add that to your 135 villain points, and you earned 215 points in total, which puts you in first place comfortably. You broke the record for the most points received. You will be in Class 1A, but I have a feeling that's not what you want, and that's why I'm putting you in Class 1B. I was shocked at the results. I had gotten first place, and by how many points? Izuku Midoriya, I welcome you to join my school and to become a hero for the future generation. The disc shut off, and I was in tears from how happy I was. I made it. I was on my way to becoming the hero I had wanted to be for the longest time. I then saw the hero suit clothing allowance. I needed to submit my quirk registration form. They needed my measurements and my costume design. I thought of all my previous designs, and they all reminded me of my father. Izuku, yeah, I'm definitely not using any of those designs. I need to create my own image for myself and what I want to represent as a hero. I'm registered as having no quirk. I really didn't think this part through. Oh man, what should I do? I called my uncle Nizu to ask him what to do. He said I could update it without any issues. He explained that when you're registered in elementary school, when people discover that their quirks aren't exactly what they were at first, you're allowed to revise the forms once or twice when you understand them better. Since I had none before, they were going to want me to update things. I understood what he meant, and then he told me that he could do it for me. Since he and some of the staff already knew about my powers, I didn't need to get too specific. I decided to call my quirk Adaptive Energy Manipulation. Then I designed my costume, needing something that would match my abilities and skills. My first design had a black and white skin-tight spandex outfit with a mask that covered my whole face, featuring a 4-pointed star. It included a cape, shorts, and my katanas on the back. Izuku, yeah, no, that just looks weird. He rips it out of the book and throws it away. My second design featured a gray jumpsuit that was a little baggy, with a blue X on the front and black on the shoulders halfway down. The rest had blue spikes on the edges, a utility belt for medical supplies with a chain on one side, black boots, and fingerless gloves. There was a bandana on the left arm, blue accents around the seams, 2 blue rings on the legs, and my katanas on the back. Izuku, better, but too edgy for my taste. He rips it out of the book and tries again. I tried for hours until I got a design that I liked, and then I sent it off to be made. Izuku, well, if it all goes according to plan, then I'll have my suit design for my hero training. Izumi's POV, I got into you. And when I first used one for all, it completely broke my arm. Dad said I need to hold back for now because my body can only handle 8% of one for all. I figured out that I have to use it on my whole body so I don't have to transfer the power somewhere else. My friends and I are in Class 1A. I didn't see my brother anywhere, but there was a guy with white hair and a mask. I don't recognize him, but something about him makes me feel like I know him. Izuku's POV, I wake up with a smile on my face. Today is the first day of school, and I can't wait to start. I get up, take a shower, put on my uniform, eat some breakfast, and then leave my apartment for the first day of school. I could run over to the school in a few seconds, but I want to walk with my best friend and girlfriend. I walk until I see Hitoshi and Itsuka waiting at the park for me. They're in their uniforms, and Itsuka looks great. I walk up to them and say hello. Izuku, hey Itsuka. Hey Hitoshi. Itsuka, hey Izu. How's your morning going? Izuku, better now that I've seen your face. He smiles. Itsuka, she blushes a bit and gives him a kiss on the cheek. Oh you. Hitoshi, while I'm happy to see you two together, we need to get to class. You can continue your kissing session when I'm not around. He teases with a smirk. We blush at that, then walk our way to you. While training, I discovered a new ability with my lightning and speed. I can use it to create an electrical grenade, which is pretty powerful, but I haven't used it on anyone yet. I can tell it's strong enough to knock someone out for a while. With my speed, I figured out how to move my cells fast enough to phase through objects or go invisible, like a certain comic book hero I read about. I also found a new energy, teal energy, which is a blast wave I can charge up and release. I think about my new powers until I feel a tap on my arm and see 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴 tapping me. We're in front of the U building now, and I put on my face mask so my past doesn't see me. I squeeze 𝐒𝐮𝐴's hand gently to calm her down because I can tell she's nervous. She gives me a grateful smile, and we walk into the school. We look for class 1B but can't find it. Izuku, this place is like a maze, I need a map. My friend and girlfriend laugh at my antics. Over the past few months, I've changed my personality from shy and timid to kind, goofy, and confident. We find our classroom and, Izuku, why is the door so big? If a person was that size, they wouldn't be able to sit in the desks. 𝐒𝐮𝐴, I mean, I get that people have mutation quirks, but this is just too much. Hitoshi, smirking, I bet you 10 schmeckles that there's actually someone here who needs the door to be that big. He makes a reference to a show we watch. I chuckle at that and open the door to the classroom. Inside, I see our classmates, and a girl with green hair gets up to greet us with her disembodied hands. Setsuna, hey, you must be in our class. I'm Setsuna Tokichi. Grins and offers a handshake. Izuku, hey, I'm Izuku Midoriya. I shake her hand in greeting. Anyone else might have been startled by her hand being detached, but after everything I've been through, this feels like just another day for me. Izuku, do you need a hand with this, or do you got it? Jokingly Setsuna, oh come on. That usually freaks anyone out. How come you didn't? Izuku, well, when you've seen the things I've seen, this gestures to the floating body parts isn't really that weird for me. Besides, quirks don't really freak me out. Setsuna and the others looked a little curious about what I said, but before they could ask, a tall man entered the room. He had silver hair, a red skin-tight suit, and sharp canines. Good morning, I'm your homeroom teacher, the pro hero Vlad King. We teach our students here at U differently than others because we teach our students however we want. Right now, we need to go hear a speech from our principal at orientation, and after that, we're going to do a quirk assessment. Follow me. We followed Vlad King to the orientation ceremony, where my Uncle Nizu walked up on stage to give his speech. As we listened, we felt a tremor and everyone started to panic. Nizu, everyone, please remain calm. It's not really an earthquake, it's just Class 1A doing a quirk assessment. There's no need for panic. Everyone calmed down, and we continued with the orientation. Afterward, our teacher told us to put on our gym uniforms and meet him outside. I headed toward the locker room, and as I approached my locker, I took off my shirt to change into my gym outfit when a boy with silver hair came up to me. Yo dude, how did you get so ripped? And why do you have so many scars? Concerned, my old scars had healed nicely but were still visible. There was one particular scar on my shoulder that looked like a firework had gone off on my body. Izuku, years of training, and the scars are from my past. I'm Tetsu. What happened to you in your past to get those? Izuku, I'll tell you later after the assignment. We finished getting ready and made our way outside. Vlad King nodded in satisfaction. VK, good, you're all here and you didn't take too long to get out. Now, Midoriya, you got first place in the entrance exam. What was the farthest you could throw a ball in junior high? Izuku, I think it was 64 meters. VK, okay, now I want you to step into the circle and throw this ball as hard as you can. Tosses a ball toward him. I grabbed the ball he tossed to me. It felt like a soft ball but seemed to have some sort of technology inside. I got into the circle, looked at the skyline, and took a throwing stance. I threw the ball using my super strength, careful not to destroy anything around me. A loud boom erupted from the throw, and I waited a few seconds. Vlad King's device beeped, and then he turned to the class. VK, the only way for me to see what level you're at is to test your skills right now. He showed my score, 830 meters. He got over 800 meters. Insane. Shocked VK, now let's continue with the test. We continued with the tests. I only used my super strength and speed, and when we finished, we all lined up. VK, everyone did well except for you, Midoriya. Izuku, did I do something wrong? VK, not really, but you were holding back in all the tests. Now I want you to throw the ball again with everything you have. Got it. I nodded, grabbed another ball, and stepped into the circle again. I took a pitcher stance, activated my energy, and launched it into the sky. I created a shock wave from the throw, breaking the sound barrier a few times. After the dust cleared, Vlad King looked at his device and then announced my score. VK, 40,578 meters. Everyone. What? VK, now that I've seen what you're capable of, you may go back to class. The rest of the day, you can talk with your new classmates. Everyone. Hi, Sensei. No one knew, but All Might was watching from the corner, eyeing a specific person. All Might. Thoughts so you have multiple quirks? But I need to see more to clarify my suspicions about who I think you work for. Class 1A POV. Izumi and the others were confused by the rumbling they felt. Then Aizawa came into the classroom and spoke. Shota, no need to worry, everyone. It wasn't an earthquake or anything bad. Izumi, then what was it, Sensei? It made us think something was wrong. Shota, it was just Class 1B doing their quirk test. The shockwave was from one of the students during their ball throw. Momo, how far did they throw the ball for it to create such a big shockwave? Shota, I asked Vlad King, and he said that the student had thrown it over 40,000 meters. Everyone how's that even possible? Katsuki, who can throw it farther than me? Where's this guy? I'm going to show him my quirk. Shota, you're not going to do anything of the sort. Everyone here is on thin ice as it is. You all make one wrong move, and you're all expelled and blacklisted from every hero school in the country. They all immediately closed their mouths. Class 1B POV, everyone, except for Itsuka and Hitoshi, stood around Izuku, curious about what his quirk was. Setsuna, hey Midoriya. Izuku, oh, just call me Izuku. It's easier. Setsuna, okay, well, Izuku, what's the deal with the fire? I thought you just had enhanced strength and speed. Izuku rubs the back of his head. Well, that's just one of my abilities. Yosetsu, one of your abilities. And by power, do you mean quirk? Izuku, well, actually. He looks at his friends, who shrugged to say, it's up to you, I actually don't have a quirk. Kinoko, you don't have a quirk. How could you not have a quirk? You can create fire and have enhanced strength and speed. How is that possible? Izuku takes a deep breath and shows the scars on his arm. Everyone who already knew about his past is shocked to see his arm in that state. They saw the faded scars and wondered who or what could do that to a person. Some of the girls felt emotional seeing his scars, and even the teacher was concerned. Izuku, the scars I have are from those who hurt me in my past. As you can see, they started to fade since I got my powers. I have some kind of healing factor now, but it only started to kick in a few days ago. My powers keep growing and evolving at an astonishing rate. I've barely touched the surface of my abilities. He explained how his former friends and family treated him because he didn't have a quirk, how his BRH father passed away after his mother divorced, how his former friends chased him into a forest, and how he absorbed energy from a meteor that gave him his powers. He shared how his hair and eyes changed colors and how he ran away to start a new life, eventually meeting his friends through acts of heroism. Izuku, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Then everyone gathered around Izuku and gave him a group hug. Izuku felt a warmth he hadn't felt in years from the people around him. It made him feel like he finally belonged somewhere after all those years of being alone. He let out a tear, but it was one of happiness and relief as he smiled brightly at his new friends and classmates. He then suggested to the class that they come up with hero names and use them during their training. Izuku, okay, I'll start. I'm the symbol of hope, Nexus. They all liked his name, and it made sense since his powers did come from a space rock. They all chose hero names for their hero training because they thought it would be a cool idea, each selecting a name that best suited their abilities and quirks. Izuku Nexus Hitoshi, Night Hides and Driller Itsuka, Battle Fist Yosetsu, Welder Taguru, Mantrix, Shurhai Vantablackyi, Sizer Kinoko, Mushroom Girl Eyebrow, Davian Vines Jurode, Beast Nirenjiki, Impactor Pony, Main Cozy Eye, Echo Tetsutsu, Real Steel Sensei, Lizardy Manga Comic Man Juzo, Mudman Kudro, Plamo Nito Phantom Thief Reiko, Ghost Hiryu, Dragon Shroud. The next day, they were in class when Izuku's uncle entered. Everyone put on your hero outfits and come to ground beta, he said before leaving. The rest of the class looked confused at the sudden announcement. Who was that? 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 asked. That was Eraserhead. He's an underground hero. When he looks at someone, he can erase their quirk, Izuku explained. And you know that because? 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐽 questioned. I told you I studied heroes. Now we should get going. I heard he doesn't like students being late. At ground beta, Class 1A, All Might, Aizawa, and Vlad King were present. They noticed Class 1B, and Aizawa and Vlad King looked impressed. Not bad, you didn't take long at all. You know that the longer you take, the more lives are at stake, Aizawa said. Well, 𝐒𝐻𝐿 told us that you don't like it when people are late, Driller replied. Speaking of him, where is he? Battle Fist asked. I'm coming right now, 𝐒𝐻𝐿 called out. They heard a sonic boom as he landed, creating a cloud of smoke from his superhero landing. When the smoke cleared, they saw Izuku in his costume. He had chosen a stylish and practical outfit for hero work, a black leather sleeveless vest over an emerald green hoodie, black fingerless gloves, light gray combat breathes, and a green utility belt with pouches. His boots were sleek and designed for high-speed friction and temperature resistance. He also wore a mask, goggles, and headphones for communication and noise cancellation. The jacket featured a multicolored star design on the back, and he carried katanas made of nanotechnology that could remold themselves if broken. The symbol of hope, 𝐒𝐻𝐿, is here, he announced. Everyone was in awe of his impressive entrance. That was so cool. It was like something out of a movie. Real Steel exclaimed. What can I say? I like to make an entrance, Izuku replied. Now then, with everyone here, we're going to, Aizawa began, but was interrupted by All Might. We're going to put you all in combat training. All Might declared. Hey, maybe don't interrupt Mr. Aizawa. It's a sign of disrespect, 𝐒𝐻𝐿 said sternly. Everyone looked surprised that he would speak up to the number one hero. All right everyone, settle down and thanks, 𝐒𝐻𝐿. Now let me explain the rules of the battle training, Aizawa continued. He explained that it would be Class 1A versus Class 1B, with each team having 2 members, one team as heroes and the other as villains. The heroes' objective was to capture the bomb or detain the villains, while the villains needed to capture the heroes or prevent them from getting the bomb until time ran out. Any questions? Aizawa asked, noting that Class 1B understood everything, while Class 1A seemed a bit confused. Ida, do you have a question? Aizawa prompted. Mr. Aizawa, may I ask why we are doing this? Isn't there a better way? Ida inquired. Izuku sighed. Think about it. Pros often have to team up with heroes from other agencies on the spot. This way, we can get some practice before we go out into the field. Everyone looked at him, shocked that he was able to connect the dots so quickly. Izuku raised an eyebrow. What? All Might replied, well said, young man. Now let's draw. Aizawa added, okay, now that we have you all in teams, we'll draw the opponents. He rummaged through a box for a few seconds and pulled out 2 balls, one labeled Team A and the other labeled Team Izumi and Katsuki. They were the first to fight. 𝐒𝐻𝐿 thought to himself, of course they would pair us up with the people I disliked the most. Aizawa continued, you're going to have 5 minutes to prepare. The villains can go ahead and get set up. In 5 minutes, the heroes will be coming into the building, and the battle will begin. Yes, sir, everyone replied. All Might addressed Katsuki and Izumi. Young Yagi, young Bakugo, the key to being successful in this challenge is to embody villainy. You need to think from the perspective of an evildoer. Katsuki looked at 𝐒𝐻𝐿, determined. This is where I show who's stronger. Aizawa warned, if things go too far, I will step in. But that won't happen, right? He activated his quirk and glared at Katsuki and Izumi. Okay, got it, Izumi replied. Katsuki gritted his teeth and walked in behind Izumi. Inside the building, Izumi suggested, we should come up with a plan too, Katsuki interrupted. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take out 𝐒𝐻𝐿 and Real Steel alone. You stay here and protect the weapon. Got it? What? Are you crazy? You can't take those guys on alone. We need a plan to win. Izumi protested. We don't need a plan. I can win this all by myself. Just stay here and don't let the bomb get captured. Katsuki said, walking off with determination. Outside the building, Nexus said, okay, I have a plan. We go in through the third-floor fire escape to surprise them. I can tell the blonde is going to be a problem, so once we see him, we split up, and you go find the bomb. By the time you find it, I should be done with him, but if not, you should be able to handle Yagi by yourself. Alright, I got it. Real Steel replied. Aizawa announced, heroes may enter the building. They climbed up the building through the third-floor fire escape, entered through an open window, and walked through the halls for a minute until Nexus sensed someone approaching. My senses are going off, someone's coming this way and fast, Nexus warned. Okay, I guess this is where we split up. Real Steel asked. Yeah, when you find the bomb room, contact me with the earpiece, and I'll meet up with you, Nexus instructed. They both nodded and went their separate ways. Nexus continued walking for another minute when, out of nowhere, Katsuki launched an explosion toward him. Nexus dodged it with a backflip and landed back on his feet, looking at the smoke. A piece of his hoodie was burnt off but quickly repaired itself. Katsuki taunted, "What's the matter? I thought you could put up more of a fight." Nexus replied, "I was just waiting for you to come to me first so I could end this quickly and get to the bomb. You seem like the type to charge in headfirst." Katsuki gritted his teeth and charged at Nexus with a determined look. "I'm about to hurt you so bad they'll have to stop the fight," he shouted. He tried to attack, but Nexus ducked, grabbed his arm, and twisted his body. Katsuki's expression turned to shock. Impossible. How did he know? He can't be that good, Katsuki thought. Nexus grunted and slammed Katsuki down to the ground with his strength. When Katsuki hit the ground, it cracked on impact and he coughed from the force. Nexus said, "A big right hook. You were too wide, which is how I was able to counter and hit you." He pulled out his katanas, channeling ice and energy into them. Nexus's katanas glowed with energy while icy mist emitted from them. Katsuki got up with a grunt and a scowl, activating his quirk as sparks flew from his hands. "Katsuki, you think you're better than me. You better think again." He charged at Nexus, who ran towards him as well. Nexus dragged his katanas along the ground, causing ice to form beneath him. He sent out ice shards from the katanas, which hit Katsuki, but he didn't seem to notice and continued his advance. Nexus dodged underneath and moved away, creating a winter wonderland of ice around the third floor. In the monitor room, everyone was shivering from the cold produced by the ice. Even Aizawa was wrapped in his sleeping bag while standing. "Beast, man, that's a lot of ice." "Spinner, you can say that again. I can just imagine it's like Antarctica in there." Mina pointed at the screen. "He has an ice quirk just like the Todoroki twins." Ijiro added, "Yeah, and he managed to trick Katsuki into coming for him. The guy's pretty smart." All Might thought to himself, "He has an ice quirk as well. This confirms that he's working with All for One. I need to keep an eye on him at all times." Aizawa noticed All Might's stressed expression and realized he was worried about Izuku. He decided he would talk to Principal Nizu after this to ensure Toshinori didn't act on his suspicions. Welder remarked, "Looks like they're face to face again." Everyone turned their attention to the screen, where Nexus and Bakugo were standing in a hallway. In the building, Izuku was focused. "Nexus, Real Steel, have you found the bomb yet?" "RS, yeah, found it all right. What should I do?" "Nexus, don't just rush in. Wait for an opening and see if you can reach the bomb. I'll meet up with you in a minute." Izuku knew Bakugo's quirk well. He needed sweat to use it, so he planned to keep things cold to prevent him from building up any sweat. Suddenly, the bomber entered the hallway, and one of his gauntlets clicked and glowed ominously. "Bakugo, I'm all charged up." Nexus thought, "Yep, this isn't going to be good for him." "Bakugo, what's the matter? I thought you could actually give me a challenge. Get over here and show me what you're made of." Nexus replied, "If you're trying to intimidate me, it won't work. You're not that impressive." Bakugo growled and snickered. "You should know that my quirk, Explosion, works. I secrete nitroglycerin like sweat from my hands and make it blow up. Just imagine what I could do if I had a lot of it stored up." He pulled back the handle of the gauntlet, revealing a firing pin. Bakugo grinned widely. Yep, that's right. These gauntlets aren't just for show. They've been storing my sweat for one monster blast. All Might shouted, "Young Bakugo! Don't do it. You're going to hurt him." Bakugo smirked. He'll be fine as long as he dodges. Izuku slowed down time with his super speed, using his energy to create a protective wall to prevent destruction. He sped towards Bakugo, covering his gauntlets in ice to stop the explosions. Then he quickly wrapped capture tape around Bakugo's body and knocked him out with a swift chop to the neck. Afterward, he sped up to the floor where his teammate was waiting. Real Steel jumped in surprise at Izuku's speed. "How did you get here so fast?" "You know what, I'm not even going to ask. Now that you're here, we can take him on together." Nexus wiped away some sweat. "Yeah, I have an idea." I tell him my idea and he likes it. Then we get into the positions that we need to, I kick down the door and we rush in. With surprise on Yagi's face, I rush over to her and knock her down. This gives Real Steel the opportunity to touch the bomb, and we have won the first battle. All Might, hero time wins. Monitor room VB Vantablack. That was amazing. Welder, did you see what he just did? He moved really fast. DS, not only that, he managed to take down Bakugo without causing any damage to the building or anything. Driller, he also put up his shield to make sure that if it did end up exploding, the damage would be minimal. Aizawa and Vlad King are still in shock and impressed that Izuku managed to keep everything under control, even when the blonde was going to set off a massive explosion. Meanwhile, Class 1A is shocked to see two of the most powerful people in their class get taken down so easily by someone else. All Might has a cold sweat on the back of his head and is trying to keep it cool on the inside. All Might, thoughts, he could be trouble, I need to investigate him and ask Nizu to help with this. Izuku's POV, we walk back into the room, and Bakugo and Yagi are still recovering from the hits I gave them. I see everyone talking about the battle, and then Real Steel and I stand together on the side with everyone. Then All Might, Uncle Shota, and Vlad King come to the front of the class. Aizawa, now then, who do you think was the MVP of this match? Momo, I think it's pretty clear. It was Nexus. His team not only won, but he also did most of the work during the fight. Nexus, actually, the MVP was Real Steel because he was the one who did all the work. I was just a distraction. Not to mention, I could have done better. I was too risky in the battle by letting Bakugo go so far, and if I had been a second too late, the whole building could have come crashing down on us. Real Steel was the one who found the bomb and caught it. So that's why he should get MVP. The whole room goes silent at my explanation of the situation. The toolbox looks shocked at my response, and then Uncle Shota clears his throat and continues. Aizawa, that's right. While he did most of the fight, as he said, he was too reckless with his strategy and could have handled it better. So the MVP goes to Real Steel. Then I meet up back with my friends. They all give me and Real Steel applause for the battle. Real Steel says that I didn't have to do that, but he also thanks me for it and calls me manly. We continue with the class, and Hitoshi and Itsuka win their matches. When class ends, we line up to be dismissed. Aizawa, alright, now that class is over, you can go and change back into your uniforms. Bye. We all leave and go to change back into our uniforms, not knowing a pair of green eyes are watching us with a curious glint in them. Izumi, thoughts, Nexus. He's familiar. Too familiar. I need to figure this out. In the locker room, we chat about the class and other things. Yosetsu, so what do you all think of our class today? Sen, it was pretty fun. I can't wait for the next class. Juzo, yeah, I can't wait for it either, but did you guys think about Class 1A? Nairenjiki, they're pretty good, but that's just on first impressions. The Bakugo twins have some anger issues. I should know because I faced one of them. Shivers in remembrance Izuku, you don't even know the half of it. They're all good in their own right, but you know what they say about anger. If you have too much built up in you, it will end up consuming you from the inside out. After we finish getting out of our uniforms, we continue the rest of the day as normal, and I spend the evening with Itsuka and Hitoshi. Time skip, Yagi residence. Izumi's POV. I finish my homework and my workout for the night. I sit in my bed thinking about that Nexus guy. It seems like I know him somehow, but I can't remember running into someone who looked similar to him. I then come up with a crazy idea that 𝗧𝐬𝐴 could be my brother, the person who just defeated me and 𝐒𝐾𝐮 single-handedly. I chuckle at the thought. Izumi chuckled. Yeah right, like 𝗧𝐬𝐴 could be Izuku. He didn't even have a quirk the last time I saw him, and last time I checked, Izuku doesn't have white hair. I tried to focus on something else, but my mind kept returning to that thought. It was like a dog with a bone. I couldn't let it go. Finally, I decided to do something about it and pulled out an old photo of my brother when he was about 4 years old from my desk. The sad part was that this was the only photo of him in the whole house. Everywhere else, there were pictures of the three of us, but not Izuku. It felt like he didn't even exist, despite the fact that there was a room full of memories. With a sigh, I grabbed a box of colored pencils and started to draw over his face. I changed his hair to snow white, his eyes from green to aqua green, and drew a mask on his face. Once I was done, I placed my pencil down and looked at the picture, not expecting much. But what I saw shocked me. It looked exactly like 𝗧𝐬𝐴, just younger, but it was clear. 𝗧𝐬𝐴. He's Izuku. I whispered. My hands started to shake slightly as everything began to click together like a puzzle. 𝗧𝐬𝐴 showed up almost a year after my brother's disappearance. He was the same age Izuku would be today, 15 years old. No one mentioned his real name. He only used a hero code name to keep us guessing about who he really was. I grabbed the picture and ran downstairs, calling out for my parents. They came as fast as they could, looking worried because I had never yelled for them like this before. 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, what's wrong? You sound really worried, my mom said. I think you need to see this first, I replied, showing them the picture of Izuku and then my drawing of his new appearance. Toshinori looked confused. I don't really get it. I then showed them the picture of 𝗧𝐬𝐴 I had taken that day. They began to understand what I was talking about. So you think that 𝗧𝐬𝐴 is Izuku? 𝐒𝐮𝐽 asked. I didn't see it before, but now I do. They have the same hairstyle, and they both sound similar. The mask just muffled his voice so we can't tell who it is, I explained. Toshinori said sympathetically, Honey, I know you miss him. We all do. But I don't think it's him. Even if it is possible, he has a quirk, and Izuku was quirkless. Maybe he finally unlocked it. Do you think he's just a late bloomer? I suggested. I don't know, but maybe it's worth looking into, Toshinori replied. I decided to ask my friends to meet me at the beach I had cleaned up, and in an hour, we were all there. So why did you ask us here? Denki asked. Yeah, what's this all about? Momo added. I showed them the picture of Izuku that I had drawn over and then a picture of 𝗧𝐬𝐴. So you think Izuku is 𝗧𝐬𝐴? Tenya questioned. I nodded. He can't be Izuku, his hair and eyes were different. His personality was also different than Izuku's, Ochako pointed out. And he has a quirk, Izuku didn't have any, Tsuyu added. Yeah, but don't you think he could have awakened a quirk or gotten it from All for One? Remember what Dad said about that guy? How One for All was created. It was created by All for One. He could take and give quirks to people, I argued. Shoka thought about it and grabbed my phone to take a closer look. If he is Izuku, he probably has contact lenses to change his eye color. The white hair must be dyed or a wig, and he must have worn a mask to hide his freckles, Shoka suggested. I thought of the same thing, I replied. Hanta chimed in, You guys are missing one fact. Izuku ran away without a trace. Yeah, but we have to remember he couldn't have gone that far away from Japan. So who's with me to help find out if 𝗧𝐬𝐴 is Izuku? I asked. Everyone except Kota and Shoto replied, I'm in. The girls thought, Izuku, if it really is you, then I'll bring you home. Kota thought, if Izuku is 𝗧𝐬𝐴, then I need to warn him about their plans to figure out who he is. But if he is Izuku, then I'm glad that you're able to be the hero you've always wanted to be. Izuku's POV, my best friend, my girlfriend, and I were walking to school when we were stopped by reporters. One of them approached me and held a microphone in my face. Reporter, hey, can you tell us what it's like to work so closely with All Might? Izuku, sorry, but we need to get to class. See ya. I grabbed my friends and sped off toward the school. We reached the door of our classroom, but Hitoshi and Itsuka stumbled as we stopped, and I rubbed my head sheepishly. Izuku, yeah, I forgot to mention that you might trip while I'm running with you. I chuckled nervously. Hitoshi, maybe next time you should mention it before you speed us off like that. I rolled my eyes and opened the door to find everyone chatting. We took our seats, and then our teacher walked in. Vlad King, good morning class. You all did well in yesterday's combat training. I reviewed everything on video and discussed your team's results with Mr. Aizawa. There's a lesson to be learned from your performances. Even if you won, don't think you can improve, and to those who lost, don't be too HRD on yourselves. We're here to help you with your training. Vlad King, now that that's settled, we need to choose a class representative. Everyone, including Hitoshi, Itsuka, and me, got excited about the idea. I had enough and stood up. Izuku, please stop yelling. The room quieted down and I continued. Izuku, if we're going to do this, we should have a voting system for class rep and see who deserves it. They all agreed and we voted. The results were in. Izuku, 6 votes Itsuka, 3 votes the rest received 1 vote or none. Itsuka and I stood in front of the class. Izuku, thank you for voting for me as class representative. I'll do my best to lead the class. Itsuka, yeah, I will too. Later, in the cafeteria, I was eating with my friends and girlfriend. I used Itsuka's makeup to hide my freckles. Don't judge me, I wanted to make sure my past couldn't see any details about me, and my freckles were a giveaway because they were shaped like diamonds. We chatted about various topics, and somehow, we ended up discussing whether I could run faster than All Might. Sure, hi. We need to consider how fast All Might can go and how fast you can go. Speaking of which, how fast can you run? Izuku, when I got my powers, I could run at 300 miles per hour, but after training, I've gone a bit over Mach 1 without trying. I haven't had the time to see how much faster I can go. Everyone's jaws dropped at the thought of me running as fast as the speed of sound. Sin, wait, you're saying you've gone faster than the speed of sound. Setsuna, that's incredible. Tetsu, that's so impressive. Manga, I never imagined someone could run that fast. Then an alarm went off. Security breach level 3, everyone please evacuate the building. We heard the announcement and started to exit, but the hallway was crowded with people pushing and panicking. I was pressed against the window and saw that it was just the media outside. I felt frustrated that the media had caused such a panic. I began to glow with pink energy and created a portal in the air above everyone. I let out a yelp as I fell through the portal and floated above the crowd. I grabbed onto the exit sign to steady myself and cleared my throat. Izuku, everyone stop. Everyone paused and looked at me. Izuku, it's just the press outside. You don't need to panic. Please leave slowly and calmly so no one gets hurt. If you're injured, go to Recovery Girl's office to get checked out. Everyone followed my instructions, and once everyone but my friends and me had left, I jumped down and landed next to Hitoshi. Hitoshi, did you know that you could even teleport? Izuku, nope. Well, at least I found out what the pink energy does. Sin, whispering seriously, how many powers were in the space rock? Izuku, whispering I don't really know, it didn't come with instructions. Jokingly, everyone rolls their eyes at my joke, and we all head back to class. The next week, Vlad King made an announcement for the class. VK, alright, today we're going to do hero rescue training at a facility. We'll be joined by Class 1A as well. We're going to have All Might and one other teacher there to meet us and help with the lesson. You're all allowed to wear your hero costumes, but take note that you haven't gotten used to them yet, so they might end up limiting your abilities. Now everyone start getting ready. Everyone hi. We all get our suitcases and walk into the locker room to get changed. A few minutes later, we are walking to the bus area. I look behind me to see the girls behind me. I smile as I see Itsuka already making friends with our classmates while Hitoshi and I are doing the same. A few minutes later, we're outside, and we see the teachers waiting for us. VK, good you're all here. We're still waiting on Class A, so just keep to yourselves until we have to go. Everyone hi. Everyone starts talking about random stuff. I honestly don't know how we got on the topic, but we started discussing how if we were in a movie, people might act like us or try to. We all talked about random things for about 15 minutes until Class 1A showed up. But before that, my uncle Izuku wanted to talk to me alone, and we went somewhere where no one would hear us. Nexus, what's wrong? Why did you have to bring me all the way over here to talk? I think you should know that Class A is catching on to who you really are. Nexus, what? How could they recognize me? I made sure they couldn't recognize me by wearing a mask. I've even gotten taller, and that's not enough to fool them. I don't know, but I heard them talking about how they want to figure out if you're you or not. I just felt like you should know for your safety. Nexus, size okay, well thanks for letting me know. After the conversation with my uncle, the other class came. Nexus, what took you all so long to get here? We've been waiting for the past 15 minutes. He's right. If you take too long, you could end up putting lives at stake. You all need to move faster if you want to be heroes. Now move everyone, get on the bus, and don't take too long. Tenya blows a whistle. Gather around, Class 1A. Using your student numbers, form 2 neat lines so we can load the bus efficiently. Blows the whistle more. Nexus shakes his head. Class 1B, everyone just make sure you don't shove anyone else. Go sit with your friends and remember. Class 1B, no shenanigans. We all laughed at that. We boarded the bus and I looked at Tenya while getting on. Nexus, oh, by the way, your lineup won't work because of how the seats are arranged. Gets on without saying another word. Izumi's POV. Tenya, I didn't realize that it was this kind of bus. Dejected Tsuyu, so, Izumi, do you really think that Nexus is Izuku? Izumi, maybe and maybe not. I don't exactly know if he is Izuku. Mina, Izuku went missing after he went into the woods. Now all of a sudden, there's this Nexus guy that shows up. He has multiple quirks and has been hiding his face. Mezu, well, I wear a mask because of personal reasons. Maybe he's also like that. Ejiro, look, the point is, he looks almost identical to Izuku when you just change some of his features around a bit. Denki, not to mention how he knew what Katsuki was thinking during their battle. It's almost like he saw that attack so many times that he knew how to counter it. Katsuki, shut up, you bolthead. Or I'll kick your butt. Everyone quiet down, we're here. We get off the bus and we see Class B get off as well. I see Nexus holding hands with another girl while leaving. Izumi, thoughts Izuku, if it's you, then please come home. It hasn't been the same since you disappeared, and we all miss you. We arrived at the USJ and were all greeted by the space hero, Ochako. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite hero, 13. Thank you, now let me show you around my facility. Hold on, where's the buff immature man-child? He was doing too much hero work, holds up 3 fingers. Nexus thought, of course he would overdo it, what else can't he do? I rolled my eyes underneath my goggles. Then 13 went on to explain how quirks can be dangerous and why we needed to do rescue training. Everyone in Class 1A felt guilty about what had happened to Izuku. Suddenly, I felt my senses go off, and a portal opened in the center of the plaza. I saw a pale hand coming from the portal, followed by a lanky man with hands all over his body. And VK shouted, everyone stay together and don't move. 13, protect the students. Ejiro asked, wait, are those fake villains? I thought we were practicing to save people. Nexus replied, those are real villains. The mysterious figure said, the only real heroes I see are Eraserhead, Vlad King, and how perplexing. Was the schedule we had stolen wrong? All Might is supposed to be here too. Aizawa responded, so you scumbags used the press as a cover and sneaked onto campus. The figure continued, where is he? I went through all the trouble to bring so many friends with me who were excited to meet him. They want All Might, the great symbol of peace. I just can't believe he's not here. Maybe if I cause some chaos, I can draw him out. Ejiro wondered, how could so many of them get into a UA facility this secure? Momo added, yeah, why aren't the alarms going off? Good question. I'm not sure myself, 13 replied. Shoto speculated, is the entire campus under attack? Or is this place their only target? Either way, if the alarms aren't being triggered, then one of the villains must have a quirk that's covering their presence here. They chose this place because it's completely isolated from the outside world while also having a class taught here. They've thought this through. VK instructed, 13, get both classes out of here. He put on his goggles and said, and alert the main campus. VK added, actually, if they have the ability to block our sensors, then they might be jamming our regular communications too. Gage turned to Kaminari, they're using your quirk to contact the school. Denki replied, yes, sir. Nexus questioned, what are you two going to do? You can't fight them alone. There's too many of them, and even if you could stop their quirks, your fighting styles wouldn't be suitable for this. Aizawa's style only works best in one-on-one fighting, and Vlad King can only use so much of his quirk before feeling the aftermath. Gage stated, you can't be a pro if you're just a one-trick pony. Vlad King said, we're leaving them to you, 13. Vlad King and Aizawa were about to go down to hold them off, but they stopped when they saw a pink portal open beneath them. Before they could say anything, they fell through it. One by one, pink portals opened beneath the students, and they were all teleported away from the US. Most of the class didn't know what was happening, but a few understood the cost of this. BF Battle Fist shouted, Izuku, what are you doing? Nexus replied, getting all of you out of here. The teachers don't have enough power to win, but I do. I'll hold them off. Go get the rest of the staff and bring them here. NH Nighthide exclaimed, what? Are you crazy? You can't take all those guys out by yourself. Nexus said, I know, but I'm our best chance at making sure no one gets hurt. BF pleaded, Izuku, please don't do this. Nexus smiled warmly and said, I'll see you guys on the other side, and Itsuka, I love you. Then they teleported to UA, and I was standing there alone with an army of villains that I had to face. The figure shouted, what the hell? Where did they all go? 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐸𝐸. 𝐒𝐒𝐮𝐸𝐸𝐸 hummed in thought. It seems like the boy has a warping quirk like mine, Tamura Shigaraki. A factor we didn't see coming. Shigaraki replied, if you weren't our way out of here, I would take you down in a second. No matter, we'll get All Might to come here if we defeat this kid. I took out my katanas, activated my power on my swords, and rushed down the stairs with my speed. A villain shouted, shooting squad, take your aim. Another villain questioned, didn't our intel say that it would just be 13, All Might, and Vlad King out here? Who is this kid? V1, I don't know, but if this kid thinks he can take on a bunch of villains on his own, then he's as good as done. Let's take him down. They charged at me, but I anticipated their moves and deflected their attacks with my swords while running. I reached the villains and knocked them out, ensuring they wouldn't get back up. More villains tried to surround me, but I smirked under my mask, using my wind and fire abilities on my katanas to create a powerful tornado. Nexus, blazing vortex. I was at the center of the tornado, spreading it wide to catch everyone in its range. Those caught in the attack were knocked unconscious. The ground was scorched, and smoke filled the air. Nexus, well, there goes half of you villains. V34, how did he do that? V17, there's only a few of us left, and I don't think we can stop him. Everyone, charge him head-on. Come on. They charged at me, and I gathered teal energy around my body, glowing with power before releasing it all at once, sending the villains flying and knocking them out. One villain rushed towards me, furious. Shigaraki, you're going to pay for that. Nexus, we'll see about that. Charges at him, we both rushed towards each other, his hands outstretched and my katanas swinging. I managed to slice him on his arm, but he caught one of my katanas with his hand. I quickly noticed that my katana began to corrode from his touch. I pulled it away, but it snapped in half. More villains approached, and I kicked one aside, knocking him into another villain. More continued to come at me, and I punched one while dodging another, sweeping my leg to trip another. I charged up another pulse of energy and blasted them away, breathing slightly. I looked at my katanas. One was fine, but the other was damaged from the villain's ability. I realized he must have a quirk that disintegrates things on contact. My sword was slowly reforming, but it would take time, so I sheathed it and prepared to face more villains. Shigaraki, you're proving to be more of a challenge than I expected. That quirk of yours is quite versatile. But you know you can't keep this up forever. Sooner or later, you'll run out of energy, and will the heroes even be here when that happens? It's only a matter of time, side character. As he spoke, another villain approached, swinging claws at me. I dodged and punched him on the side of the head, knocking him out. I noticed another villain with a chain and a spiked ball. He swung it at me, but I created a small shield of orange energy to block the blow and countered with a strike to his head. He went down easily, but another villain tried to sneak up on me. I kicked back, knocking him out as well. I turned my attention back to Shigaraki, readying my katana. Shigaraki, and look at you, still standing and thinking you're a hero just by being here. Nexus, breathing slightly. I'm not a hero just by standing here. I'm a hero because I choose to put people first and ensure their safety. That's what makes a hero in this world. Shigaraki chuckles darkly. Is that what you think? You and everyone else have an outdated sense of right and wrong. Oh, and by the way, hero. My senses alerted me to danger right behind me. I turned to see the imposing form of a dark creature standing there. Shigaraki, I am not the one you should worry about. The creature swung its arm down at me, and I barely had time to react. I dodged out of the way just in time, watching as it crushed the floor beneath it with incredible force. My eyes widened in shock. It had broken the ground effortlessly. In the blink of an eye, the creature vanished and reappeared in front of me. I tried to create a shield of orange energy, but it shattered easily. The creature slammed me down to the ground, knocking off my headgear and causing my katana to drop. I gasped for air as it pressed down on my back, making it hard to breathe and causing pain to spread through my body. My hands were pinned, preventing me from creating a small ball of wind to help me breathe. Shigaraki, smugly, what do you think of him, side character? He's the bioengineered anti-symbol of peace. But you can call him Nomu. Nexus, thoughts, I need to get out of here before he crushes me. I have to think of a way out and fast. I focused on using my speed to vibrate my molecules and escape while charging up teal energy to strike the creature when it came at me again. I felt myself breaking free from its grasp and, before anyone knew it, I was behind it. Without giving it a moment to react, I released the charge directly into its back. The impact created a shockwave that shook the entire building, sending other villains flying back and causing smoke to rise from where the creature stood. Nexus, breathing heavily, well, at least that's one less big bad to deal with. When the smoke cleared, the creature was still standing, completely unharmed. I widened my eyes in disbelief. I had used that amount of power against others, and it usually knocked them back. But here, it didn't even budge. It looked at me and raised its fist to strike, but I barely dodged again with my speed and backed away. Nexus, why didn't that work? Shigaraki, that's because Nomu has shock absorption, side character. The only way to hurt him is to slow gouge out his flesh. Of course, I don't think he'll just sit back and let you do that. This is meant to defeat All Might, and when he comes here, he'll finally meet his match. Nexus, thoughts, this thing was meant to defeat All Might. So they have a plan to take him down. Maybe I should let it do its job. No, I can't do that. If I did, Hero Society would likely fall into chaos, and I don't know if 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐸 can fill his shoes given how much All Might shows off. Nexus, is that so? Well, thanks for telling me how to beat him. I sent a wave of ice toward the creature, completely encasing it so it couldn't move. I rushed toward it with my white energy glowing around my fists. Nexus, time to take you out, and then you're next. I used my flight to speed toward it as fast as I could, igniting my flames to propel myself even faster and hit the creature with full force. There was a loud boom, and a cloud of smoke erupted from the impact. A gust of wind swept around the building, sending people back. Shigaraki, hey now. When the smoke cleared, I found myself caught in a bear hug by Nomu, halfway through a gateway created by the smoke villain. I could see my legs and lower torso being held through the other side of the gate. BLD trickled down from my nose due to the pressure, and I looked at Shigaraki again. Nexus, voice raspy, oh come on really. Don't you think that's a cheap trick? I thought this was all fair game. Shigaraki, nice. You were trying to bury him in ice so he wouldn't move around anymore. Sorry, But that won't really work. The 𝗏𝗏 is as strong as All Might. That's not going to stop him. Then the smoke villain came up and showed his face. I could see through the smoke that he had some sort of metal neck armor, meaning that he had a physical body somewhere in that smoke. Shigaraki, giggles a little nice work, 𝗬𝗓𝗟𝗘. We got the side character right where we want him now. Then the monster started to squeeze me tighter. I grabbed its arms, trying to pull away. Nexus, thoughts, I need to get out of here. If this thing is let loose in the city, I can't imagine the damage it could cause when the other pros show up. I tugged harder on its arms, but the monster just kept adding more pressure. I was able to move its arms a little bit, but it wasn't enough to get them off me. I couldn't even vibrate myself out because it would put too much strain on my body. Suddenly, I felt a new surge of power course through me, and purple energy-like tentacles sprouted from my back. I widened my eyes as they started to move and flail on their own, some stabbing the monster in its place. I saw that a few of them had ripped off the monster's arm and leg while there was still one arm holding on to me. I moved its arm off of me and backed away. I felt a sharp pain shoot through my body, a combination of being crushed by that monster and the new energy I had just unlocked. Anytime I activated a new energy, I needed to figure out how to adjust my body to get used to it before I could use it properly. Then I saw the warp villain in front of me, and I tried to control one of the tentacles to grab him. One tentacle shot out, going for the neck armor I saw on the villain. He tried to create a warp gate, but I stopped that by sending out a fireball to hit him while he was distracted. The fireball hit him, and his body wavered as the tentacle wrapped around the neck brace, pinning him to the ground. I looked towards the hand villain, and he was just staring at me, not saying a thing. Shigaraki, 𝗬𝗓𝗟𝗘. How could you let this side character get the best of you? You've gotten us into a real jam here. Nexus, chuckles, yeah, well, he got careless. Honestly, it wasn't that hard to figure out. Only certain parts of his body turn into the warp gate, making it seem like his body is smoke from a distance. But in reality, his body is just covered in smoke, creating the illusion. If he didn't have a body, he wouldn't have this armor around his neck, right? I felt the warp gate villain trying to get up, but I tightened the restraint around his neck and pulled him down to the ground. I felt my bruises start to fade away because of my fast healing, but it would be a while longer before I would be back at 100%. Luckily, my breathing was becoming more leveled and my sight was clearing up by the minute. Nexus, I wouldn't move if I were you. You're all going to stay here until the heroes show up. Shigaraki, hands clasped together, you were able to escape and even injure my two strongest men. You kids these days really are amazing. You make the League of Villains look like amateurs. Can't have that now, can I? He looked towards the monster and called out its name. Shigaraki, 𝗏𝗏. Then the monster started to fall to the other side of the warp gate while screeching. I stared at the monster as it pulled itself along, only having one leg and bleeding from having its limbs torn off. The monster looked at me with its cold, dead eyes as muscles started to emerge from its body. Nexus, what the heck is this? How is that thing even able to move right now? Half of its body is gone. I thought you said your monster's power was shock absorption. Shigaraki, I didn't say that was his only quirk. He also has super regeneration. As he said this, the monster was back in one piece and it looked like it was ready to attack. Shigaraki, the 𝗏𝗏 has been modified to take on All Might even at full power. It's basically a highly efficient punching bag that hits back. First, we need to free our method of escape. Go get him, 𝗏𝗏. The creature charged forward, delivering a punch that pushed me backward into a wall, causing my tentacle to loosen its grip on the warp villain and retract back into my body. Wind exploded outward, sending shockwaves throughout the building, and a puff of smoke filled the area. When the smoke cleared, I had my arms in a defensive position. My orange energy shield softened the blow a bit, but my hoodie sleeves and breathes were nearly torn apart from that last hit, though the fibers began to pull themselves back together. Nexus, coughs a bit from the smoke, you really don't know how to hold back, do you? Shigaraki, well, I didn't have much choice. You were threatening my companion. Besides, you can't act like you're an angel yourself. If I remember correctly, you could have taken my arm off with that cut you made, and you fired a point-blank blast at the 𝗏𝗏. What kind of hero does that? You think you can get away with being as aggressive as you want if you say it's for the sake of others? That really annoys me. Why do people get to decide that some aggressive acts are heroic and others are villainous? All Might thinks he's the symbol of peace. As he continued, I noticed some of the villains starting to wake up and regain their composure. Shigaraki scoffs he's just another government-sponsored tool of violence. And violence always brings more violence. I'll make sure the world understands that once All Might is gone. While I could somewhat understand where he was coming from, some heroes were genuinely trying to help people, even if others sought fame and glory. Nexus, you know, when a criminal tries to make their actions sound noble. But admit it, you're only destroying what you don't like, and you get a thrill from that, don't you? Shigaraki whispers to himself he's got me all figured out. Nexus, thoughts, I've been outnumbered this whole time. My body is almost back to normal, but that last hit didn't help. I figured out the warp villain's weakness, but that monster over there is still a problem. Shigaraki, 𝗏𝗡𝐻𝗫𝗓𝗘. Let's finish him off already. This side character is starting to get annoying. I looked around and saw my katana stabbed between the tiles on the ground. Nexus, thoughts, it's only a few feet away from me. My other sword should be done reforming by now, so I have to take the chance to end this now. I pulled out my other katana and got into a stance. It was a good thing I decided to draw my katana because, just as I expected, it was fixed and ready for action. Shigaraki, let's clear this side mission so we can get to the main fight. He ran towards me quickly, and I felt a new spark of energy coursing through my body. My hair began to spike up, and for some reason, I felt more confident about what was going to happen next as wisps of golden energy surrounded me. I closed my eyes, reflecting on my life up until this point. How far I've come since gaining my powers, how much I've endured over the past 10 years, and how everything improved once I decided to leave and start over. Nexus whispers under his breath, I need to stop these villains. Not just to protect the ones I care for, but I open my eyes, glowing a bright gold. A golden explosion of energy burst around the building, and a pillar of golden light broke through the roof, illuminating the interior. Nexus, voice echoing to be the hero that everyone can look to for hope, even in their darkest hour. Shigaraki stopped in his tracks, pushed back by the force. He got up, looking at me in shock. Shigaraki, what the hell? Seeing that he was disoriented, I took off with immense speed, leaving behind a golden energy trail. I rushed to my katana, pulled it from the ground, and saw the monster charging at me. As we approached each other, the creature screeched and threw a punch, but I dodged it. I swung my katana, cutting near its abdomen with wind pressure surging around my sword as it made contact, sending another shockwave throughout the building and pushing Shigaraki and 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 back. Shigaraki flew through the air and landed, exclaiming, "Weren't you listening?" His powers are super regeneration and shock absorption. Nexus replied, "Yeah. So what?" I dodged another punch and struck the monster again, sending a shockwave throughout the building. I kept speeding up, cutting the monster repeatedly. Despite the continuous attacks, the monster was still regenerating quickly. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 shouted, "No. I can't get near them." The shockwaves intensified with every move we made, and we exchanged blows without relenting. My golden glow brightened, signaling that I was gaining power. I steadied myself and continued to slice at the monster. Nexus's voice echoed. He said your quirks may be powerful, but there's a limit to how much you can take. If you're pushed too far, your quirks become less effective, right? The monster punched me in the face, causing me to grunt in pain. I channeled more force into my strikes, using fire and lightning as I cut deeper into the creature. The sky lit up with lightning, and the ground glowed from the flames, melting beneath me as I pressed forward. Despite the monster's resilience, it was slowly weakening from my relentless attacks. Nexus's voice continued, "So, you were made to defeat All Might, weren't you? Well, if you can truly take on All Might at full power." Shigaraki stared in disbelief, watching someone he considered a side character take on his 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 with ease. Nexus declared, "Then I'll just go beyond that and force you to surrender." I noticed the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 finally starting to falter. My attacks, though seemingly random, were precisely aimed for maximum damage, surpassing All Might's power even at full strength. I shifted my grip and switched from fire and lightning to wind, slicing upward to knock the monster back into the trees. The creature was sent crashing to the ground, bouncing off with incredible speed. 𝐼zuku's voice echoed, "A real hero." The monster picked itself up and charged at me. As it attacked, I sliced at its arms while we flipped through the air. It attempted another punch, but I blocked it with my orange energy. 𝐼zuku's voice rang out, "A hero will always find a way to protect people and ensure justice is served." We flipped through the sky again, and I launched myself at the monster, slamming my leg down onto its head with fire surrounding it. The impact shattered the ground, sending waves of heat radiating from the blow. I saw the monster still on fire and seized the opportunity to rush toward it, grabbing its arm. I soared into the air while spinning, letting out a loud roar as I threw it back to the ground, where it exploded upon impact. Its super regeneration began to fail under my constant assault. I landed heavily, causing the ground to lift beneath me. 𝐼zuku's voice echoed, "Now for a lesson. You may have heard these words before, but I'm about to teach you what they really mean." I activated my white energy alongside my fire and lightning, glowing like a star for one final attack. 𝐼zuku's voice proclaimed, "Go beyond. Plus ultra." The final attack was powerful. When my sword struck the monster, a miniature explosion erupted from its body. It was too much for the creature to withstand. The monster was sent soaring into the sky, breaking through the walls of the USJ and causing the entire building to shake. It flew until it became nothing but ashes, dispersing into the air. Dust swirled around me as I stood glowing brightly, small golden particles of energy drifting off my body. My clothes were tattered from the heat, and I was slightly out of breath. I sheathed my katanas and looked back at the villain, my hair still spiked and flowing in the wind. 𝐼zuku, voice echoing, "I guess I still have a lot to learn. But not bad for someone who's a side character, in my opinion. It only took about 200 slashes for me to take that thing out, but there's definitely room for improvement." 𝐼zuku, thoughts, "I should have tried to end this faster. My body isn't used to this new form yet." I stand up tall and look the villain straight in the eyes, trying to bluff that I have more than enough energy left to take them on, but I had really drained myself. Right now, I was running on fumes because I could tell I could only keep this up for another few minutes or so. 𝐼zuku, voice echoing, "You've been bested, Hanzi. Give up. I'm sure we all want to get this over with already." Shigaraki is shaking with frustration and glaring through the space between his hand mask. Shigaraki, start scratching his neck, he cheated. Oh, come on. What's going on here? He's somehow just as strong as All Might is, and here I thought he was just some side character, but really he was a hidden boss. Don't tell me I was lied to about some hidden boss. 𝐼zuku, voice echoing, "What's the matter? Not attacking me. Didn't you say you were going to complete this side mission earlier? Well, take your best shot if you dare." Shigaraki steps back in hesitation. I need to keep stalling until backup gets here because I'm not sure I'll hold out for much longer if I need to fight. 𝐼zuku huffs amusement while voice still echoing, "What? Too scared to continue what you started today?" They don't move for a few seconds. It seems like they're close to surrendering or just running away from here. Shigaraki, breathing and scratching his neck, "If only Nomu was here, he'd rush you right now." 𝗓𝗓, Tamura Shigaraki, please, do not fret. Look at him, he has definitely weakened. Nomu's attacks were successful. Shigaraki stopped scratching his neck and looked at 𝗓𝗓. I sensed that the rest of the villains were starting to get up. 𝗓𝗓, he's still on his own. And look, our underlings are recovering. We likely still have a few minutes before his reinforcements arrive. If you and I work together, we can do this. We haven't missed our chance yet. Shigaraki, yeah, you're right. This is it. We have no choice. We have to do it now. I mean, we might as well finish the side mission before we finish our main mission, and the boss is right here. He then rushed towards me with his hands raised, ready to attack. Shigaraki, consider this revenge for what you did to Nomu. I put up a small shield of orange energy to protect myself and get ready to defend. But I slowly felt the energy in my body draining as I saw my golden aura of energy start to flicker. Nexus, thoughts, this is bad. Where is everyone? I need help. Just as his hand was about to touch the shield, a gunshot rang out through the building, and a bullet struck Shigaraki in the hand. I looked up and saw what I wanted to see. Nexus, voice echoing they're here. More bullets rang out as they hit villains in different areas around you. Then I saw the rest of the staff members and other heroes while some of the villains looked up. Nizu, sorry, Nexus. I know we're a bit late, but I got the teachers and heroes over here as fast as I could. Nexus, voice echoing well, I'm just glad you're all here. Hitoshi, stepping forward bro, we're back, and we got reinforcements. I saw all the heroes from had come, along with a few top heroes. But some of the villains foolishly started to approach the heroes, thinking they could outnumber them. President Mike, he stepped forward and took in a deep breath. President Mike, yeah. The sound blast sent everyone back and had them covering their ears, then Ectoplasm sent copies of himself to take care of the rest of the villains. Nizu, our priority is to protect our student. Teachers, yes sir. Explosions happened in the distance while more teachers and heroes were coming to help. Shigaraki looked pretty banged up, with a cut on his arm. Shigaraki, ah man. The pros are here. It's game over. Let's go home and try this when we can. He didn't get a chance to finish talking as he was shot in both legs and fell to the ground, courtesy of Snipe. Snipe, we need someone who can capture them from a distance. Kurogiri, let's go. Suddenly, a powerful force began to pull them in. Kurogiri looked around in confusion. Kurogiri, this is a black hole. Despite being drawn toward the black hole, it wasn't enough to stop their escape. Shigaraki glared with intense anger. Shigaraki, I may have failed to defeat All Might this time, but you'll pay for this. Watch your back, side character, because your days are numbered. I will come for you both. With that, he vanished into the black fog, and the black hole deactivated. My golden aura faded, and I felt weak, stumbling as my breathing slowed. Just before I fell, strong arms caught me. I looked up to see my Uncle Shota, concern etched on his face as he gently placed me on the ground. You gave me quite a scare back there, you know that, right, problem child? Nexus, weakly well. It could have been a lot worse if I hadn't done what I did. But thanks for coming when you did, you all saved me. I'm sorry for worrying you. Size, it's okay, but you're pretty bruised up from that fight. We need to take you to Recovery Girl to get you checked out. Hey, where's your mask? We can't have people seeing your face. Nexus, weakly, it's over by that big crater. I pointed weakly in the direction of where I thought it had fallen during the fight. He used his capture weapon to retrieve my mask and picked me up, placing me on his back. He found it and held it up, looking at me as I rested my head on his scarf. I hope you know you're not off the hook. What you did was reckless. It could have ended badly if we hadn't shown up when we did. Nexus, weakly, I had to act quickly, or one of you could have been hurt. Size, in defeat, you're heroic to a fault, kid, but the pros are here now, so you don't have to worry. Just rest. As he spoke, everything began to fade to black as I felt myself drifting off from exhaustion. The last thing I saw was him walking toward the exit, blue and red lights flashing and sirens blaring in the distance. Somewhere in the city, there was a discreet bar, almost unknown to the citizens. Inside, it was well kept and spotless, but a computer screen at one end of the table seemed out of place. Suddenly, a dark purple gateway appeared, revealing Tamura Shigaraki, injured and bleeding. Shigaraki, groans in pain now. Shot in both arms and legs. My arm is nearly severed. All those underlings wiped out. Even the Nomu was defeated. We failed. That kid was so strong, and the symbol of peace wasn't even there. You were wrong, monsieur. So wrong. Mysterious voice one. No, I wasn't. The monitor flickered to life, showing only sound. The voice emanating from it held a sinister tone. Mysterious voice one. We just weren't as prepared as we should have been. Another voice joined in, rough but equally malicious. Mysterious voice two. I agree. We underestimated them. Thankfully, we failed under that cheap League of Villains, name, and not our own. And what about the creature the meteor and I created? Where is the 𝐻𝐽𝐻? Mysterious voice 1. Yes, why is he not with you? 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, he was blown apart and burned away. Mysterious voice 2. 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲, steps forward, it was the boy's doing. Without coordinates to his precise location, I couldn't use my warp gate to retrieve what was left of him. We didn't have time to search for him. Mysterious voice, this is a disaster. After all we did to make him as powerful as All Might. Mysterious voice 1. Well, I suppose it can't be helped. Unfortunately. Shigaraki thought for a moment. Power. That reminds me. The kid who faced my 𝐻𝐽𝐻 tried to protect all the students there. He somehow managed to teleport them away with a warp gate, similar to 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲. A mysterious voice responded, intrigued. Oh. Shigaraki continued, but he had an advantage. He used some kind of golden energy to enhance himself. It made my 𝐻𝐽𝐻 look like a joke. He was incredibly fast and strong. That side character changed his attack pattern at the last second and revealed all his abilities. If he hadn't intervened, we might have taken down the symbol of peace. That brat. He became visibly upset at the thought, digging his hand into the ground and leaving claw marks behind. The mysterious voice reassured him, naturally you're upset. But this was not a wasted effort. We've learned a lot. Gather the elite villains. Take your time. I must remain hidden in the shadows, which is why I need you to be my face, a symbol of your own. Tamura Shigaraki, next time, you will show the world that it should fear you. The voice continued, in the meantime, share all the details of your encounter with the boy you mentioned. If we can understand what drives him and discover his quirk, we'll be closer to our goal. To dismantle everything we oppose. The intensity of his presence was palpable, a figure to be feared not just for his power but for something deeper. His face bore the scars of a fierce battle with the symbol of peace, and he was often reliant on life support. Yet, despite his condition, he wore a full-blown smile at the thought of the boy he initially perceived as just another power to seize. He would soon realize that this boy was far more significant and dangerous to him and his plans than even the symbol of peace had ever been. Itsuka's perspective shifted as she paced anxiously around the staircase of the 𝐻𝐽𝐻𝐽. Izuku, her brave and heroic boyfriend, had stayed behind to fight the villains while everyone else evacuated. Both hero courses were outside, except for her and Hitoshi. They watched as the police escorted villains out of the building, and her stomach twisted at the thought of the danger Izuku faced inside. Suddenly, she spotted Izuku being carried by Eraserhead, his face marked with cuts and unconscious. Without hesitation, she rushed toward him, tears welling in her eyes, with Hitoshi close behind. "Is he okay?" she exclaimed, her voice trembling. "Is he breathing?" Hitoshi added, panic evident in his tone. Their questions tumbled out in a rush, having never seen Izuku so hurt before. Eraserhead used his quirk to get their attention, his gaze intense but not unkind. "Settle down. I know you're worried about your friend, but he seems fine aside from some heavy bruises on his chest and back. From what I can see, he's just worn out from overusing his powers for too long." A breath of relief escaped Itsuka as she and Hitoshi began to calm down. "That's good, but I'm still worried about him," she admitted. Eraserhead nodded. "But I can assure you, he's going to get quite the scolding when he wakes up." As an ambulance pulled into the 𝐻𝐽𝐻 driveway, Itsuka turned to Eraserhead with a question. "Do you mind if I come with you in the ambulance? I just want to stay close to him after this." Eraserhead's eyes widened slightly before he offered a small smile. "Sure, but try not to make too much noise." She nodded and glanced back at Hitoshi, who gave her a thumbs up, signaling that it was okay for her to go. They approached the ambulance as medics brought out a stretcher, gently placing Izuku's unconscious body on it. Following closely, they climbed into the ambulance and sat beside him. Itsuka held his hand for comfort, feeling a slight twitch from his fingers at her touch, which made her smile. The back doors closed, and they were on their way back to you. Izumi's POV. My friends and I are still surprised that Nexus teleported us away through that strange pink gateway. He definitely has more than one quirk, but how many does he have? The normal human body can only handle one quirk, or two if the person has the right body structure, like me with one for all. I see my uncle carrying 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝗃 on his back toward the exit. 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝗃 doesn't have his mask on, but his face is mostly covered by Aizawa's scarf. I think I catch a glimpse of his face and notice what looks like a freckle on his cheek. This could be evidence that 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝗃 might be my brother, but I could be wrong since his face is covered in dust and obscured by the scarf. My gut tells me I should investigate further, but I'm stopped by a hand on my shoulder. I turn to see Mina looking at me with confusion. Mina, we're leaving. You coming? Izumi, yeah, I just thought I saw something familiar. I set that thought aside for now. I'll figure it out later with my friends, and then I'll find out the truth. I get on the bus and take another glance at 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝗃 as he's being loaded into an ambulance. Izumi, thoughts, I hope he's alright. Izuku's POV. I wake up in a field of flowers of all colors and look up at the appealing stars glowing above me. It's breathtaking. With a groan, I pick myself up and look around, but I don't recognize this place. I notice I'm still in my hero suit, but my katanas and headgear are missing. Izuku, where am I? Echoes ring out as I replay the events in my mind. The attack on the USJ, sending everyone away to keep them safe, taking down the thugs, and how the villain escaped through a gateway. After that, everything goes blank. The last thing I remember is falling into my uncle's arms before I blacked out. I see a silhouette of a person in the distance, but I can't make them out clearly. I decide to call out to them. Izuku, hey! Can you tell me where I am? I try to use my super speed to reach them, but I can't for some reason. Confused, I run normally toward the figure. As I get closer, I can tell it's a woman. She has short black hair, a white cape, yellow gloves, white boots, and a black skin-tight sleeveless bodysuit with a small red cap around her waist. She has a well-built physique, and the wind blows gently around us. I finally say something. Izuku, Mississippi. Do you know where I am? She turns around, blinking in confusion and looking at me with curiosity. She tilts her head and speaks. Nana, who are you? Wait, where am I? Izuku, you don't know. I just woke up here. She hums in contemplation, cupping her chin, then steps closer to examine my face. I feel a bit nervous as she gets so close. Then she circles around me with a curious expression before stopping in front of me again. Nana, you look just like my father if he had white hair and freckles. Unless, if you don't mind me asking, what's your mother's name? I look confused for a moment, wondering why she wants to know that, but I answer. Izuku, 𝐒𝐮𝐦𝐦𝐚𝐫𝐲 yagi. Why does that matter? Her eyes widen, and she speaks again. Nana, what's her maiden name? Izuku. I think it was Shimura. She covers her mouth and tears up a bit, speaking softly. Nana, I can believe it. After all this time. Izuku, miss, are you okay? Is something wrong? Nana, I'm your grandma. She hugs me tightly and spins around in joy, causing us both to fall to the ground. She laughs and smiles while I'm still trying to process this. I'm meeting my grandmother, whom I didn't even know I never thought this day could get any crazier. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how this is even possible, seeing her here of all places when I don't even know where here is. Izuku sat up a little bit, surprised. Wait, so you're my grandma. That means you're my mother's mom. Nana wiped away a tear. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just so excited to meet my daughter's child, especially since she married my successor, the best man I know. Izuku's eyes widened. She knew the blonde hero, and he was her successor. But a successor for what? One for all. He would have to come back to that later, but he felt he should tell her the truth about what had happened. Actually, there's something I should tell you about your successor, and it's not good. Actually, it's terrible. Nana looked confused as he explained everything that had happened to him. By the time he finished, she was in tears. I can't believe they did that to you, all because you were quirkless. I never should have given him one for all. I'm to blame for what he did to you, and you should have gotten the power instead of your sister. I'm so sorry. Izuku moved closer and hugged her tightly. It's okay. You couldn't have known they would have done this to me. It isn't your fault because I didn't even know you existed until now. How can I be mad at someone I didn't even know? From what I can tell, he manipulated you into thinking his ideals were good, but in reality, he only cared for himself. She cried into his shoulder for a few minutes, letting it all out. He felt bad for her. Better, he asked gently. Yeah, thank you, Izuku, she replied, wiping her tears. He smiled at her, and then he noticed the flowers glowing brightly and the stars shining like the sun. Suddenly, he started to glow with unstable energy, just like when he first got his powers. Panic set in as everything felt so sudden. What's happening? Nana grabbed his hands. Izuku, calm down. You're okay. Just breathe for me, alright? Just stay calm. Oh, okay. He took a deep breath and felt everything start to calm down. The glow was still there, but it wasn't as strong as before. He looked at his grandma, who smiled warmly at him. Good, you're in control again. You need to learn how to keep your emotions in check. If you don't, you could lose control again and hurt people. He nodded, feeling his body start to fade as if he was going back to his own body. I think I'm starting to go back, but I can't just leave you here. You're going to be all alone. Nana smiled. I'm never alone because I'm always going to be with you. Izuku, I told this to Toshinori once, but clearly he didn't listen. The ones always smiling are the strongest in the world. I thought your father could bring peace to the world, but it isn't real peace, it's fake. I know that you can bring something better than peace. Hope for those who need it the most in their lives. Do you really think so? But how will I know that I'm ready? She chuckled lightly. I may have just met you, but I know you have the true heart of a hero and that you'll do anything to save people. You won't know when you're ready because it's just a leap of faith that you'll take when you're ready, and you'll know it. He nodded, and she held his face, giving him a kiss on the forehead. She smiled and hugged him again. I'll see you again, I know it. But you need to go back. I'll be watching you, so don't forget. He hugged her back one last time, and when he opened his eyes again, he found himself lying in a hospital bed. He looked to his right at the sunset, feeling a warmth around his whole body, and realized he was fine. Then he noticed weight on his leg and looked down to see his girlfriend resting her head on his lap. He smiled at her. She looked adorable dozing off, and he almost didn't want to wake her. He gently stroked her hair as she slept. Just then, the door opened gently, and he saw his Uncle Shota and Nana. Oh good, you're awake. Now I have a chance to properly scold you for taking on those villains alone. He activated his quirk on me as I gulped in a bit of fear at the scolding I was about to get, and a cold sweat went down my back. I put up my hand for a second as I quickly used my blue energy to make some earplugs and I put them in Itsuka's ears so she wouldn't wake up. Then he continued. Do you have any idea how reckless you were, taking on those villains alone like a pro? If you had gotten hurt, I swear I would have found a way to bring you back just to scold you again. We just got you back, and I'm not about to lose you again. Not to mention you were nearly passed out when we got there. If we hadn't arrived in time, you could have been taken by them or worse. I hung my head down in shame, but then he said something surprising. Sighs and chuckles a little, but even more so, I'm actually impressed. I snapped my head back up and looked confused at what he just said. Izuku, what? I'm impressed that you were able to take on so many villains single-handedly and you barely got a scratch. Sure, you were banged up, but you didn't really get anything bad except for some bruising. That doesn't mean what you did was right, but in the end, you still managed to keep your class and the people you care about safe and out of danger. So for that, I'm impressed. I smirked a bit at that. I must have done something right considering that my uncle, the one who was infamous for expelling students from you, for either not having potential or not taking him seriously. Izuku, well, that's surprising coming from you. Wait, how long have I been out? A few hours. She, along with your classmates, has been worried about you all day, and you cut it a bit close today. I chuckled dryly as I stroked Itsuka's hair. Izuku, you're going to have to be more specific. I've been cutting it close all day. Eraserhead simply tapped his face and said, your face. I looked at him confused for a second, then I realized what he meant. I felt my face and it was bare. My headgear had fallen off during the fight, and he had carried me without it, leaving my face completely exposed. I immediately thought of the worst outcome. They would find out who I really was because of my face being exposed, and they would most definitely bother me to no end. Izuku, oh no, did they see my itch? No, I took you out the back exit so no one would see you. He pulled my headgear from the rolls of his capture scarf and handed it to me. I think these belong to you. I grabbed them from his hand with a sigh of relief and thanked him. I put them in my vest pocket, planning to put them back when I stored my suit. Then my grandma came up to me and poked me with her cane. Izuku, ow. Why do you and grandpa like hitting me with your cane? She didn't care as she pointed her cane at my chest and poked me while looking stern. RG recovery girl. That's what you get for sending them here without coming yourself, young man. What were you thinking? She sighed as she finally calmed down a bit and pulled her cane back, then spoke again. RG, you're fine. You didn't need any help healing because of your power. You just needed a little rest from overusing it. Izuku, yeah, that makes sense since I actually activated some kind of golden form during that fight, but I did find out another energy. I held up my hand and used some of the purple energy as it came out of my palm. Small WHPs emerged and moved around. Grandma looked at them with curiosity. RG, interesting, how does it feel? Izuku, a little weird. When I first used them, I was being bear-hugged by the monster. I remember wanting to stop that thing so badly that they exploded out of my back. They seemed more powerful then since they were able to rip off that monster's arm and leg. Looks like an emotional trigger activated the new energy. Can you move them at all? I moved them over to a table as they stretched from my palm and picked up a cup nearby. Izuku, yeah, before it felt strange because I had never used it until then, but now it feels fine, just a little stingy sensation. I still have to get used to them. I retracted them, and then Itsuka started to stir awake. I looked to my uncle and grandma, but they were already gone in a blink of an eye. I couldn't help but feel a bit abandoned. Izuku, oh wow, they really left me in a blink of an eye, and I thought I had super speed. My girlfriend woke up with her hair in her face and a little drool on her cheek. She shook her head to wake herself up and pulled out the earplugs. Itsuka, Izuku, you're awake. I nodded, but before I could say anything, she hugged me tight. She started to cry into my chest, and I just tried to be there for her. Seriously though, is this starting to become a pattern or what? Izuku, shoo. It's okay, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. Itsuka, crying why? How could you just leave me like that? You idiot. Izuku, stroking her hair, I'm sorry, but I couldn't watch you get hurt by those villains or anyone else there. I would rather it be me than anyone else I care about, and if you had been hurt in the attack or worse. I don't know what I would do. She cried into my chest for a moment, then she stopped. Izuku, you okay? Itsuka, nods thanks, I needed that. Oh, and one more thing. She came up to my face and kissed me on the lips. I was surprised but didn't mind and kissed back. Itsuka, blushes and smiles, I love you too, Izuku. After that, we decided to leave. When we stepped outside, our class was there waiting for us, concerned about me because I had passed out. I told them I was fine and they didn't need to worry, but they still did. My life really has taken a turn for the better ever since I ran away and gained my powers. Izumi's POV, I walked into my room and closed the door. I sat down at my desk and started my homework. After finishing all my assignments, I took a shower and put on some pajamas. I laid down on my bed and tried to fall asleep, but I couldn't. I tossed and turned for a good hour, unable to shake one thought from my mind. Nexus seemed to be more and more like my brother, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Izuku was Nexus or Nexus was Izuku. I got up and went downstairs to get some water, but when I arrived I saw that the fridge was open, and Izuku was there. Izumi, Izuku. You're back. Runs towards him and hugs him tight. Izumi starts to cry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted you to become a hero because I thought you would get hurt trying to become a quirkless hero. But my worries clouded my judgment, and I couldn't see the damage I was doing. I'm sorry. He hugged me back, and it felt nice to have him with me again. Izuku pats my head. It's okay, I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here, I'm right here. I cried into his shoulder, feeling relieved to have him back. But then I noticed something strange. I looked down and saw a knife in my hand. Izumi, what? Why is there? Izuku, Izumi. I looked down in shock, realizing what had happened. I dropped the knife and held him in my arms, panicking as I tried to stop the bleeding. Izumi, no, stay with me. Don't worry, I can fix this. I can fix this. Izuku, coughing Izumi. I thought you said you would always protect me. No matter what. Izumi, no. I didn't mean for this to happen. Don't go. Please. Don't go. I held him tightly, feeling overwhelmed. The next moment, I opened my eyes to find myself in front of my middle school. I looked down to see that I was in my school uniform, but I still felt shaken. Izumi, what's going on? I walked towards the doors of my school and saw no one was there. I made my way to my old classroom, feeling drawn to it. When I got there, I heard someone crying. I opened the door to see my brother sitting at his desk, his head covered by his arms. I walked towards him, bent down, and gently shook him to wake him up. Izumi, Izuku. Izuku. Come on, we need to get you out of here. Izuku, please look at me. He looked at me and I was filled with shock and fear. His face had changed and he seemed different. Izumi, Izuku. He got up, and his body transformed into a creature with green fur and sharp claws. He looked like a fox, but something was off. He roared at me and charged, so I ran out of the room towards the hallway to escape. I ran as fast as I could, but the hallways seemed endless. I managed to hide in a room and lure him away. Izumi, oh man, this is insane. Well, it looks like I lost him for now. I caught my breath, but when I opened my eyes again, I was somewhere else, and my clothes had changed. I was in my casual clothes, still feeling shaken, but I saw my younger self and my brother as kids in the park. Why younger Izumi? Come on, Izuku. Let's play. Why younger Izuku? Okay, wait up, Izumi. They were playing tag, and I watched as my younger self tripped over a branch. My younger self started to cry, and my brother rushed to help. Why Izumi? Cries my leg. It hurts. Why Izuku? Don't worry, I'm coming. Kneels down to help her. He took a tissue out of his pocket and started to clean the cut. I realized what day this was. Izumi, wait, this is the day, a year before we go to the quirk doctor. Why Izumi? Thank you. Why Izuku? You're welcome, it's what a brother does for his sister. Smiles at her and finishes patching her up. Why Izumi? Hey, Izuku. Why Izuku? Why Izumi? I want you to promise me something. Why Izuku? What is it? Why Izumi? I want you to promise me that you're never going to abandon me, no matter what. We stick together. Can you promise me that? 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐴, I promise, but only if you do the same, not to abandon me either. Why Izumi? I promise, pinky swear. Holds up her pinky finger. Why Izuku? Smiles, pinky swear. Holds up his pinky, and they connect them. Why Izuku and Izumi? With this, I swear that we'll never give up on each other, never, ever. They laughed and continued to play in the playground. Then Mom and Dad came up to us. Why Inko? Happily kids, we're leaving. Why Toshinori? Happily come on. Or else the ice cream's gonna melt. Why Izuku and Izumi? Ice cream. We ran to our parents, and they picked us up, me in Dad's arms and Izuku in Mom's arms. Why Inko? Happily there they are, my baby boy and my little angel. Why Toshinori? Who's ready to get ice cream? Izuku and I cheered happily. I fell to my knees, covering my mouth, and started to cry at the memory. Izumi, all of this started when I thought that the only way to protect him was to bully him from his dream to be a hero. And now, Izuku's gone. He's gone. Then I saw a shadow approaching. It was my brother, but he seemed different, with only 2 glowing eyes visible. He approached me and reached out. Izumi, Izuku. Please don't do this. This isn't you. Dark Izuku, you turned me into this. This is your fault. We made a promise saying that we wouldn't ever give up on each other, and look where that got us. With you getting all the power you want and me being forgotten. He was right, everything he said was true. My friends and family had forgotten about him for 10 years. We bullied him for being quirkless, something out of his control. The only choice he made was to keep fighting, and look where he was now. Izumi, you're right. Everything we did to you was awful, and that's why I need to try to fix it. By any means necessary. As soon as I said that, he looked at me and stepped back. I felt myself falling into darkness. I screamed as I fell, and when I hit the ground, I looked up to see my brother back to normal. Izumi, Izuku. Oh, please. Reaches out a hand. Izuku. Bye, Izumi. I don't need you in my life. Izumi. No. No, Izuku. Izuku. Those were the last few words I could get out before everything went dark. When I woke up in my bed, I was breathing heavily, feeling scared about what had just happened. Izumi, that was all a dream. I curled up in a ball and started to cry. Izumi, cries Izuku, where are you? I cried myself to sleep that night, unable to stop thinking about how I had messed things up in my family. My mental state had taken a turn for the worse since that day.